Welcome in, everyone. It's another busy day in the world of online chess. So much going on, and let's not forget, every Tuesday at 10 a.m., it's your flagship home of the Speed Chess Championship Grand Prix. International Master Danny Wrench welcoming in a lot of viewers here from Twitch and YouTube and Twitter, Facebook, all over the place. Chess.com TV, we got our eyes on you. Meanwhile, you've got your eyes on everything that has been the SCC Grand Prix. Let's remind you of what is about to take place today, the format. We'll talk about the prizes. We'll get into the standings. We'll get into all of it. So remember, every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, and that can change in the global world, but Pacific time, it's a 3+1 10-round event where 8 players will qualify themselves into a knockout bracket to compete for $2,500 in prizes as well as Grand Prix points. The cash prizes, as we said, have grown substantially this year with so much chess coming online. We've upped our game as well. $250,000 in total prizes in the SCC Grand Prix and $50,000 in these weekly events. Eventually, of course, as they earn cash, they also earn the opportunity to compete in the main SCC knockout bracket. So let's talk about the point system and what happens. Obviously, you get points just for every event you're competing in. Those points are the same score you get out of the first 10 rounds. So if you get 5 points even, or even only 4, you still get points within the SEC Grand Prix. But whatever points the top players get, they get to keep those in the standings and then compete amongst the final 8 for the remaining bonus points. So as you can see there, a perfect day for someone could lead to up to 22 Grand Prix points as players try to qualify their way into the main event. And on that note, remind you, that's what this storyline is all about. Of course, there's many more events to come. We will have the Bullet Chess Championship, the Junior Speed Chess Championship, a couple of different qualifiers and invitationals, all of those things leading us to the $100,000 main 16-player event. And of course, the SCC Grand Prix is what you're following every week. And that's what we have right here, with 4 players at the end of the season qualifying their way in. So, speaking of which, let's talk about the season leaderboard. It seems that the man who a lot of people probably expected to be at the top finally kind of found his rhythm, right? Through the first few weeks, it wasn't necessarily Hikaru Nakamura's jam in terms of how he was performing, right? He didn't win amongst the first few weeks, but he's won the last 3 events he's played in. The last 2 events he's played in. If we bring up the last few results here, we'll see that. Hikaru has won the last 2 and really could have won the last 3. Sorry, I've been waiting to take a sip of my tea, and I had to do it. So there you have it. Those have been our winners since we launched the SCC season here back on June 2nd. Vladislav Artemiev, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave is back in the fold today. Leon Beast, we'll see if he can find his rhythm. Vladimir Fedoseev, Dmitry Andreikin, Grigory Oparin, that was the day that him and Hikaru Nakamura seemed destined in the knockout there, and didn't work out for the American, but he did find himself in these last couple of weeks, and he has won back-to-back events, and he is playing today. I see him in the standings, even though he was just covering the Legends of Chess event. It looks like he is playing along with a ton of other top players. The Siberian Elephant there, that is Vladislav Artemiev. Firouzja, Alireza Firouzja. Konovets is Sam Sevian. You've got Alexander Grishuk there, Fabiano Caruana, Mkhitaryan, that's Haik Matiryasan, very talented young man from Armenia. Leon Beast. It keeps the list continues to grow, and you see so many just top players all the way down to the last man on the visual right there. Dulis is Daniil Dubov, and just like that, the games have begun, and we will have a lot of fun in these initial rounds, checking in with streamers. Hikaru with the white pieces, Grishuk with the black pieces, Caruana with white. It rotates down as we roll. You've got Mkhitaryan with black. The big fish, 1995, is Vladimir Fedoseev. Also someone who's won one of the events, as we showed earlier. Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, playing the black pieces. Continues to roll down. You've got International Master Hans Niemann. He's likely streaming today. We'll probably check in with him at some point, playing the black pieces here. So many games. Remember, you can just go to Chess.com and check them out yourself if you'd like. Do it anytime. We'll check in with Hikaru first and foremost. We see he transitioned from the Legends of Chess coverage over there, now a player. And shout out to everybody that's with us already. Whether you're on YouTube, Twitch, Chess TV, of course, the many others as well. We've got you. Thanks for being here. We'll try to keep in touch with you throughout the day, and hopefully you have a good time. So this is continuing to really get exciting as these events go on to see who can keep pace. Hikaru is one of those guys who probably, not probably, he is going to be in the main event regardless, but he may end up winning the Grand Prix to go along with it and double qualify his way in. But I think for a lot of other players who are on that bubble, I would argue just about anybody else in the world these events are taking on more and more weekly importance. Nice to see Fabiano Caruana back in the standings over there on the left, right? Given that Fabiano had the almost nearly perfect horrible day, as one of our content team members highlighted a YouTube video of it, which I thought that was perfect. Those who watched last week, God, what a heartbreaking ending for the top-rated American. But he's back in it. So, all right, we're here for the chess. So let's see what's going on the board. White in a much better position here with space on the queen side. What's the plan? Is the knight going to head to c6 and make a trade to open the light squares? Or is he going to have to look for another plan to deal with f4? So f4 is, this is Hikaru Nakamura-esque in terms of what black is doing here, launching an attack. But the problem is this isn't the kind of position where all the pieces are primed for success, right? One of the main issues is that these pieces are supposed to be helping potentially over here. And at this point, the light square bishop being traded will eliminate that idea of ever happening. And the fact that all these light squares are potentially very weak is super scary for black as well. So I don't really expect this to be an attack that goes well for Women's International Master Potapova M. Not exactly sure who she is, but that's her username. Knight d4 was heading into e6. Now bishop f3 probably threatens rook e1. The knight on e4 is pinned. Okay, bishop d5 check is an interesting question, right? After knight takes, pawn takes, you've got the e6 square, and the fact that you have the queen kind of building up on this knight battery spying something over here is a little scary for black. But you have to calculate, because if bishop d5 takes, black might have had f3. So instead, Hikaru is going to make the trade here and try to dominate the e-file the old-fashioned way. How is that happening? Something like queen d4 looks good here. You guard the c4 pawn and threaten knight g5. Yep. Hikaru likes it as well. Queen d4, followed by something executing on the e-file here. This looks like it's going to be a good one for Hikaru, to be honest. Let's back up a little bit, just check in. We already have one game in the books. The Big Fish 1995, Vladimir Fedoseev won very quickly against Norm Weinstein. I guess that's a made-up username. There you go. Maxime Bachet-Lagrave with black has struggled often in the early rounds of the SCC Grand Prix. Doesn't look like this one should be too much of a struggle. He's up a whole lot of pawns. Rook takes g6 would have allowed bishop g5 check, cutting off the rook's communication, and then black wins material. So instead, white backs up, but that just means that black is going to hold on to a whole lot of peshki here. The b file is also going to be dangerous for white. This looks like a pretty good one for Maxime. I would expect him to start getting aggressive with counterplay himself now, whether that's with e5 and e4. Okay, queen a5 is a double attack. Did he miss e1? We're going to find out. Queen e1 check allows knight to c1. Aha, and then rook takes c1, king takes c1, queen e1, queen d1, and bishop takes b2 wins the queen. Boom. I saw it before you played it, Maxime. I saw it before you played it. I went full Hikaru. Nice. So yeah, that combination there is going to clean things up for the top-rated Frenchman. There you go. He's got a W to start things off. What's going on with Caruana, one of the other biggest names in the event, on the white side of his first game? Yeah, that was a nice combo. Divis chess. Agreed, town. Population us. Rook takes f7. Looks like Fabi is also going to roll through here pretty quickly. Knight e6. What a nice move. If you take the rook, we win the queen. If you take the bishop, we win the queen. If you move the queen, we win the rook. So black goes all in with an unsound checkmate attack. An unsound queen sacrifice, my favorite kind. But Fabiano gets the win quickly. Remember, earlier on in these events, we're always trying to follow different people, give them an opportunity, promote their own Twitter channels. Sorry, not Twitter channels, Twitch channels. So we'll continue to do that, check in with all the different mini streamers, and while we get set for that, remember, you can just go to the chess category on Twitch and start to browse through. This is an opportunity to see how many top players are streaming who don't necessarily have the top channels, right? Everyone knows of Hikaru's channel, but there are a lot of very strong grandmasters regularly streaming commentary in their own language. And very often on the Grand Prix day is when they do it. One, because we give a top streamer prize, right? $100 for the top streamer, which is basically a staff-decided fan vote, right? The fans within the staff at Chess.com make those decisions. It's not really based on any official criteria. So we'll continue to check in with different people. I'm going to check in over here with Alexander Grishik's game first. We've got on the black side of some big trouble, actually. It looks like he's just down a piece against FIDE Master Albert Quinton. Oh, and Albert Quinton just blunders the knight on c6. LOL, I jinxed him. Sorry, Albert. Classic commentator's curse. You blew your advantage, bruh. Time pressure will do that to you, but if we back up, that went awry very quickly. This was a winning endgame for white, and probably, moves like rook d5 are very good here. You put pressure on the d pawn, you can't push it because the e pawn. So make no mistake, white should have been able to get the W here, but now I'm going to guess that even despite the fact that it probably is an okay rook ending for white, I'm going to guess Grishik's going to get the win. Just somehow, some way. Could be wrong. We'll see if Grishik converts this. We'll pop over to another streamer who doesn't always get love, but Yevgeny Tomaszewski, the professor, as he's known. Looking pretty professorist. That looks like a doctor's chair, doctor's office chair, right? I think I once got a checkup from a guy sitting in a chair like that. Yevgeny Tomaszewski is looking to convert in this rook ending. Ooh, wait a second. That was really interesting. One of those rare positions where taking with the pawn actually would have allowed a draw. So instead he takes with the f pawn, but this is a theoretical draw, right? This is not a position that white should win. That black should win. We'll see what Yevgeny can do if he can swindle his opponent on camera. Oh, he blunders right there. Forces the king and pawn ending. Classic GG Frances gets swindled into the king and pawn ending. Okay, G2 would have been the easiest one, but Yevgeny doesn't have a lot of time, so he's going for something that feels a little comfy and cozy. And now it's a win in more ways than one, and GG Frances resigns. Well, we've got Yevgeny. We'll show him real quick that game. So this game could have been a draw if white doesn't blunder and allow the king and pawn ending. Moving the rook somewhere else. This is a theoretical draw. Immediately, often you should actually slide the rook to the long side while your king is on the short side. We're talking about this pawn if you split the board. This is the right theoretical way to draw, but his opponent blunders, and always looking to transition to an easier endgame are Russian grandmasters. Soviet chess school working hard right there, and Yevgeny Tomaszewski takes the dub. That was nice. That was a nice little swindle to start things off. We've got a whole lot of expected results there. I feel like that's exactly the way we had the standings when the first round began. So nothing super special. Hikaru, Artemiev, Caruana, Hikmateriasan, Maxime, all of the top guys getting dubs. Besides, it looks like I was wrong. Looks like Grishik was unable to win that game as we check over. He converted into the rook and pawn ending when his opponent blundered a piece all the way back on this move where we joined. But it doesn't look like Sasha was able to convert on the position. We'll just play it out to see where we left it. Yeah, just sometimes you just feel like a grandmaster like Grishik will find a way to get it done. But he recognizes there was no point in trying to trick his opponent and trades into a drawn king and pawn ending. So let's check out Niels Grandelius, even though I don't have his game up because I think it might even be done. But we'll bring him up on camera. I'm gonna follow Grandelicious. Grandelicious, indeed. His game's already done this round along with a lot of other players, but whenever they're launching new Twitch channels, fun to give a shout out. So we've got Niels Grandelius, who I will find his game right here. Looks like he won his first game. Now with the black pieces, taking on Chess Orox, I think. Or is that like an aura or aura? How do you spell aura? Can someone spell aura? Isn't it A-U-R-A? Like, check out my aura, which often tends to be like pink with little like green spots in it, I hear. A-U-R-A. Okay, so indeed, I was correct. How's your chess aura? How's your chess aura? My chess aura is always gray and dingy. My chess aura is not thriving often. Just checking out. We got Farouj on camera. I see the YouTube request wanting Ali Reza. I'm sure we'll check out his games as the event goes on. Don't you stress about it. Danny has a beautiful aura. Thank you. Thank you, Hop in the DeLorean. All right, well, this position is a beautiful Scheveningen Sicilian, probably from a Najdorf move order, if I had to guess, or a classical. Let's see what happened. Okay, the straight-up classical. Now we have a Scheveningen structure transposing into kind of a Najdorf, you know, sort of position with the English attack for white. Often this bishop will actually fall back to e3 to clear way for the g-pawn. You can also look for positions where you capture, but the problem with that is that, again, this is it's a common misconception for a lot of players, or say beginner players who are looking at positions with some of the fundamentals they've learned, like double pawns are bad, right? And a cramped position is bad. But this position often has much more potential for black long term with the bishop pair and the fact that so many of the critical squares are dominated. Black is able to really focus on expanding on the queen side. These are very easy positions for black to play. So the bishop on g5 is kind of just pretending you're not going to take f6 anyway. And as I catch up, sure enough, Chess Aurochs backs up to e3. So this has now become a very typical kind of English attack. But if we're counting Tempe, you have to like Grandelicious position. Niels Grandelius with us now on camera streaming at Niels Grandelius, twitch.tv/Niels Grandelius. So go check him out. We definitely recommend that. Give him a follow. The problem is black is just so far ahead in terms of the timing, right? White needs to already be establishing g4, g5 here to have sufficient counterplay. If I'm Grandelius, I'm already looking at just b4 and d5. Very common trick in the Sicilian structure. You kick the knight from c3, and then now that the knight isn't putting pressure, you can play d5. The queen actually prevents e5 from being a move here, so they end up actually struggling what to do here because black is opening up things on this side of the board, and white doesn't have anything to do. So Niels has played b4. We'll see if he follows my advice with d5. There's other options. Okay, e5 is possible. I actually don't think the computer would like that. And I see some requests for the eval bar. We actually don't have the normal. We'll get that set up for you at the break. But I would say that this is probably, if you were a human, okay, you can't take here right away because queen takes c2 just wins. But I wonder if this is a slow approach from black that's unnecessary. Now he goes for a5. By the way, was g3 just a mouse slip? I think his opponent, just being nervous, just literally played g3 instead of g4. Like, there's, like, zero purpose to g3 besides to go to g4. As my old uncle Yermo once told me, the problem with playing e3 is that the best move after that is to play e4. That's the problem. So, Niels has officially transposed into a Najdorf structure with the bishop on e6, and so now he's getting d5 anyway. And the extra time black has here affords him this sort of stuff, but I still think that the d5 move earlier might have been the most accurate approach from black. Note the king is safe on f8. The only potential dysfunction for Niels is that he's also disconnected the rook. So g5 is a good move, right? At this point, white needs to be just like all in with some sort of crazy sauce and hopes that he can open the position and take advantage of the king. Because he's down Tempe in terms of what black has already established over here on the queen side. But I don't like the way Niels played this. Because I think now the best move is what, like d4? And where's the beef? Like, black has run out of the concrete moves that you could have had. Yeah, and look at time. I mean, that also tells you that Niels is probably not thrilled with how he played this position. So, despite my early evaluation, I believe correctly that that black was in a good spot. I don't think so anymore. And we'll stay with Niels right here. By the way, head over to twitch.tv. Give Niels Grandelius a follow. I don't know, is Hess streaming today? We'll check out if Hess is streaming, but he's about to go 2 of 2. According to chat, so that's cool. Can't spell chess without Hess. It's a fact. So we'll check in with Robert at some point, whether he's streaming or not. We'll see his games. We know you want it. Knight g4. Interesting. Has he forgotten that the queen can take now because c2's guarded? I think Niels really let this position go. This has become super dangerous. By the way, Maxime, speaking of someone who I already talked about earlier as having really stumbled out of the gate at times in the weekly title Tuesdays here, the SCC Grand Prix, he has already won his second game in the event. So Maxime flexing over there. You see him sitting atop the leaderboard on 2 of 2. The Beast of Leon has arrived. Okay. I think that Aura, needs to think about it. I used to play in these events, Johan Berg over there on YouTube, but not lately. Surprised on e5. Interesting. I guess he was what was the threat on queen d4? I don't know. But I still think that white is going to make this super tricky. If you play queen d5, bishop b3. Does he see this coming? Bishop b3, you take. I can put the rook on e1. I win e5. You better play bishop b3 because it's a double attack. Okay, so now queen e4. Put the rook on e1. Ah, does Niels have knight f3? Maybe he does, and he finds it. Knight f3 with a little intermezzo saves the knight that would be hanging to the skewer. The queen has to go to c1 to remain guarding c2, and Niels is going to get this. Well, now you can trade and take. No, but then f3 hangs. Okay, so queen d3, I didn't see that. That was a resourceful move. A resourceful move for white. This position is still a mess. Probably should be okay for black, but this h-pawn combined with the dysfunction of the lack of development here for black makes this tricky for Niels. Oh, the f1, the back rank. He misses it. He can't take because rook f1 was mate. That is a resourceful and sneaky tactic, but then he blunders. Bishop e3 would have been a skewer. This is going to be a fun little scramble toward the end, but I think that Niels has finally shown that he's probably going to convert on it. The blunders are now much harder to make. You can trade and put the rook on g6, and here comes the pawn. Even better. Very nicely converted there from Grandelius. Very, very nice. Bishop c7 is met by e5. Bishop g1 is met by bishop e5. And the game is over, Red Rover. All right, and we will leave Niels to complete the job. Fabiano Caruana also got a W as we back up here. He got his victory, so he's on 2 of 2. Hikaru Nakamura also got a victory, so he's on 2 of 2. The big names are doing what they're supposed to do. Daniil Dubov also got a W. So the things you would expect. Alexander Grishik strikes back after drawing his first game. He does move to 1.5 out of 2. And so we continue to see the things we mostly expect. Turns out Robert is not streaming, so we'll check on his games at some point. We need that Hess to pick up that stream game. It's probably because he's on his phone. Knowing Robert, he's like, sitting in some coffee shop in New York, wearing a mask, okay, but also on his phone, playing on Chess.com. So, what other top games are going here? Looking at him, Indian Lad seems to be one of the top players still going. We'll check out that. We've also got Christian Kirill. I got to remember his name. Is it the Count? I always forget. I'll try to follow him. I think it is the Count. We'll check it. We'll check in with another streamer here in a minute. We haven't said hi to on camera for a while, but he's already completed his game here in round 2. Indian Lad gets the W against his opponent here, so he also moves to 2 of 2. And if we take a look at the standings over there on the left, like we said, it's kind of an expected list of who's who in terms of who normally shows up in the Speed Chess Grand Prix here on Tuesdays. We'll check in with Hans Niemann next round. I know he's streaming after we check in with Christian. We'll check in with Hans Niemann, and Count Live is. Oh, that's his Twitch. That's his Twitch. But I think I got him correct on Chess.com as the Count. We'll see. Yeah, cool. All right, let's say hi to chat. Actually, let's take a second to remind you that the SCC Grand Prix are also now brought to you, sponsored by the Dr. Wolf. The Dr. Wolf app, available on iOS and Android. It is your friendly, personal, and artificially intelligent trainer. I know I'm not supposed to say that, but, I've inherited the ways that we refer to our overlords that are digital, taking over the world. But the Dr. Wolf app is amazing, and it gives you real-time feedback and advice. You play games against the good doctor. He gives you feedback, and surprisingly intuitive and very human-like in terms of its ability to advise, recognize patterns of improvement in your game. It's pretty awesome. Check it out. Download the app. All right, round 3 underway. We have Hikaru Nakamura up first. As we said before, we had the Count. We'll go check out Christian Kirilla's chat. The Count is playing a a semi-Slav here, exchange Slav right now as white. Catch up with that. Bishop f4 variation. These positions can be surprisingly tricky, actually. Because despite the relatively harmless-looking structure, when you only have one area of the board that both sides can kind of equally fight for, small mistakes can become huge mistakes because you give up control over the only area that can lead to oppression. Like already there's tactics on c7 here you have to watch out for where the bishop and queen can work together to do something nasty. Probably this line is well known, so I guess he must know there is no trap. The bishop will come to g3. The knight will exchange off the bishop pair. But now the risk is that because you played f6 and you've opened up your own king side, taking on g3 is not without consequences by itself, right? So that's the give and take. White has gained a little bit of a potential for light square attack here in exchange for maybe black winning the bishop pair. I already love Christian's position, to be totally honest. Danny Wrench is based on Dr. Wolf. Maybe the other way around. I'm the human, not Dr. Wolf. Or am I? Twist ending. Shout out to everyone that's with us here. Remind you if you're wherever you're chatting and tuning in from. Give us some good questions, some interesting comments. We'll try to read you on air. We see Fiddler Crab Season sporting that St. Louis Archbishops logo. By the way, stay tuned for our announcement of when the 2020 Pro Chess League Finals will take place. It will be sooner than you think, and we're getting pretty excited about it. Obviously, the state of things is that the live final will no longer happen, but we will be announcing the 2020 Pro Chess League Finals very, very soon, and when that's going to take place. So check that out soon, Fiddler Crab Season. We'll keep an eye for you. All right, I love this move g4 from Christian. As we said, the real risk of this approach from black was winning the bishop pair, but with the consequences on the light squares. And I think that you could get a very, very bad position very quickly here. Knight e5 is threatening knight takes g6. If you're keeping track at home, that's a pinned pawn, which means bishop g7 is the likely move to guard the rook and attack the knight. But it's still tricky, right? What can happen on that? Bishop to g7, can you just take and then flip to this h5 square? Don't mind if I do. Don't mind if I do at all, actually. Christian taking pause to think here. Nice little streamer chair he's got rocking. I think taking in queen e2 looks super solid. Although one thing, so queen e2 first makes sense, because I guess the truth is if you capture, black could take with the e-pawn because the knight was pinned due to the rook on the queen. So that's kind of why he played queen e2. Now you're threatening to take f5 with a little more firepower, right? If black takes with the pawn hangs. If you take with this pawn, queen h5 check. So queen e2 is an instructive, kind of patient move there for white that everyone can take note of. Takes e5, d takes e5. By the way, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave has drawn his game already, so we start to see those top players getting a few nicks in their shield at this point. The pairing's getting tougher. Knight to c4. My guess is white can still capture and then take here. He takes first, which does allow knight takes e5, but I guess takes g6 is just too much. Yeah, so this looks like it's going to be a tough one. I would say we could check in with Hans Niemann, but he's already won his third game in the event. So Hikaru, sorry, not Hikaru Nakamura, I looked at the standings and read the name in front of me. But as we look over, Hans Niemann has already gotten a W here in this third round. So, oh no, he hasn't actually. No, so maybe we will try to check in with Hans Niemann here in a minute. We'll see how Hans handles, sorry, not Hans. We'll see if Christian takes on d5. Actually, that looks very risky, because if you take, now there's queen a5 check. And if knight to c3, rook takes. That's a serious problem. So Christian taking pause. You might have to castle first, but then you give up your pressure on the h-file. Okay, rook to d1 also threatens to take, but it gives black time to play bishop e6, I'm guessing. Fabiano Caruana has already won his game. Whoa, we'll just flash that position real quick. What a finish. Queen takes g6 with a pinned f7 pawn. Doing work. Very, very nice. Nothing like bringing down the hammer there with queen takes g6. So Fabiano looking fresh Fabi, as he was last week. to be honest. Unfortunately, it didn't end well for him, but Caruana looking good again, sitting on 3 of 3 atop the standings over there on the left. All right, rook to d4, offering a trade. Queen a5. It's still a good position for Christian, but it just made you, based on where the position was earlier, you felt like white had maybe a little more potentially to get out of the opening. Eric Ronka, defending well. Eric with a K, the Norwegian spelling. Now you could trade on c4 and then play queen d6. And if the queens are traded, you get the rook behind the pawn. Okay, queen d4 also good. And maybe he likes the fact that it's complicated, given that black only has 15 seconds. But queen d6 might have been a little more accurate. Now black can play queen takes e5. Okay, queen takes b7. The question is, will black get counterplay? Yeah, you've won the pawn. But, oh, I forgot about the 7th rank too. Hey, Eric Ronka, you and me both, buddy. Queen h8 is just winning on the spot now, right? Black has bishop g8 at the end of the line, so you don't lose the rook. But trade, bishop back to g8. And now Karilla is just up a pawn. Okay, you can take with either the knight or the pawn. Probably pawn, give up the a2 pawn, and then try to unwind from there. Things like c4, things like king d2. Interesting. Swindles him, forcing the rooks off the board. I like it. Should be an easily winning endgame with an outside pass b pawn. Okay. Well, the count looks like he's going to take this. Let's back up real quick and check in with one of the other top players. Haik Matiriasan, Mkhitaryan. Oop, he's about to take f2. That looks like a bad move for white. Knight takes g5, and right as I arrive, the position falls apart for Yevgeny Nair. Strong grandmaster from Russia, but looks like he's about to go down. Should be a pretty clean rook ending from here for black, and indeed Nair just resigns. Okay. Hikaru Nakamura won his game. That's why we see him on top of the leaderboard with 3 of 3 as well. We already pointed out that Fabiano won. Maxime Bachet-Legrave drew his game, so he's on 2.5 out of 3. Let's go over to Hans's game here. Hans is still playing here, actually in a crazy time scramble rook ending. A funny one, because he's down a pawn, but probably shouldn't be the one who loses this endgame, right? With a couple of pawns that are connected. The problem is, how do you make progress, right? You can try to bring the king into f4, but nothing more than a bluff. I think h6 would have been the simplest move there for white. Vuk 2000 is trying to maybe just not lose on time, right? He obviously knows how fast Hans Niemann is, right? But that was weird. Instead of rook takes g5, but okay, he can take and play h4, and it's a draw. Whoa! Oh my god! Hans doesn't look too excited. He's like, what? Yeah, Hans. Crazy. Yeah, that was an unhappy Hans, as we like to say. That was Hans unhappy. Not just about his hair, about the game. But the position is easily a draw for white. Only white can win, to be honest. I mean, white probably should have taken g5 a move ago, right? But clearly, Vuk 2000 was nervous about his connection. We don't really have the bars up there, but likely suffering from some lag, and that ends up causing Vuk 2000 to go down. So there you go, a surprising result there given the position on the board. Let's go check in with Alexei Sarana, also a young talent from Russia who played in our Junior Speeches Championship last year. He's on the white side of an endgame against Gusarov 9-1. Russian on Russian action. Shouldn't be a win. Oh, now he just gave up the d5 pawn and black didn't take it. I was going to say, there's no way white should win this, but, you know, stranger things have happened. No, indeed they agree to a draw. And so the position is ended. All right, so another game in the books. Alexei Sarana unable to get the W, and we are about to start round 4 with only one game still going here in round 3. And right as I bring it up, Chicken Man for you. Chicken man, man for you. Chicken, yeah. Chicken man, man for you. There you go. Well, all the games start rolling in simultaneous fashion. We've got so much chess to look at. We're going to check in with another very well-known legend of the chess streaming community, Eric Hanson here. The chess bra himself, doing what they do. Got some sort of random techno going on in the background. House music, as they like to say. EDM, if you're cool. Okay? But only cool people know how to say Omega Lul and EDM and Five Head. No, jokes aside, Eric Hanson sporting the chess bra from Canada flag there, his little logo flare, against Andrei Belozerov from Russia. Not exactly sure where Eric is in the standings, but you can head over to twitch.tv/chessbra, give them a follow if somehow you're not already following. One of the OGs of the chess streaming community, likely you are. But remember, search the chess category on Twitch. The show has just begun. All of these guys will be streaming throughout the day. As the event rolls on, we tend to focus on the leaderboard. So we'll obviously do that, and you see it there to my left, a lot of the names you would expect. But let's see what Eric comes up with here. He's in a Sicilian after my own heart. I didn't even think Eric played this Sicilian, so he played a con here with queen to b6. Tricky move order. Black gets frisky early on the queen side here. You notice completely neglecting the development of the bishop on f8 in exchange for the pressure that you've established. But I think he's gotten a pretty good position here. One of the risks, though, is now here comes f5, because the delay of castling in order to expand creates the potential for the king to get in danger. My guess is Eric plans to meet f5 with e5. That actually makes sense, right? He's going to keep the position closed and maybe try to use the d5 square for the knight at some point. Okay. Playing guess the move here, seeing if I can play like the chess bra. 2,900. You know, Eric, I think sometimes we forget because he's been around streaming forever and, you know, a lot of viral clippable moments, but you forget that he's actually probably gotten better over the last few years. And, you know, he used to maintain the 2,800s in Blitz, and he's now regularly over 2,900, has crossed 3,000 before. So shout out to Mr. Hanson holding over the 2,900 ranking. Bishop to g5. So, but this is the tricky part of this line that Eric played. When you really neglect the king side for multiple moves, multiple queen moves, you go really aggressively with the Sicilian minority attack to push the b pawn. The potential of this backfiring is very real. If you castle, white's going to take twice on f6 and double the pawns. If you move the knight before, the trade on e7, super risky and not even something white can get away with. So what sometimes you try to do is sort of call white's bluff, right? Like you can play like h6 and try to force the trade on f6 before you've castled, or rook c8, same idea. I'll get to the point. My point is, if the trade happens, okay, and let's say in some cases you might even take with the g-pawn and try to use the g-file combined with the bishop here for something on g2. And so, okay, now knight takes e4. What's the discovery? If bishop takes e7, does he have queen b6 check, intermezzo? Something on d2 maybe? Yeah, maybe white actually just blundered. Because now black can take on d2 with a tempo on the rook. I think it's just simple. I don't even think he needs something nasty. I think knight takes d2. If queen takes d2, king takes e7, wins a piece. If knight takes d2 and you move the bishop, we take f1. So the only question would be if there's something crazy there, right? Like knight takes d2, f6. You know, knight takes f1. Is the king made? He plays queen to b6 check for good measure, but I don't think it's anything more than a tempi he decided he wanted. Yeah, and he's still going to take here. I think he just decided the queen is slightly improved on b6 versus c7, but that was a check black could have thrown it at any time. A good check. It actually guards the 6th rank, right? Guards the diagonal, so recognizing that he was going up material, Eric attempts to just be as accurate as he can. It's a good move. Good move. Head over to twitch.tv/chessbra. Give him a follow. Diamond member Anchor Draw in the Chess TV chat says this tourney should be named the Hikaru Open. The Hikaru Swiss, right? Knight takes f1. Yeah, so f6, like I said, is the crazy way to try to mix this up, right? The Grandmasters, Super Grandmasters don't name events after themselves. Why would you do that? Why would you name an event after yourself, right? I mean, you would name it something great, but naming it after yourself just seems weird. I don't know. I don't think Hikaru would want to do that, even if we offered it to him. So, anyway, oh, look at that move, G takes F6. That was nasty. Trapping the bishop. That was nasty. Now if knight takes F6, queen E5, you have queen E6, and it all comes off the board. You don't even need to play something with the knight. You could move the knight and actually give up H8 to take E7, but yeah, my move queen E6 as predicted, and just like that, good to go. All right, well, shout out to Eric, who clearly playing well in this event. You hope he keeps it up. The Chess Bros got the potential to make it to the knockout, and I know it's like, that's easier said than done, right? There's a reason why very few people make it to the 8 players remaining, because look at the list right there, right? Look who's playing in the tournament. So it's understandable that making it to the knockout is a tall task, but he's got that kind of potential. Where do we want to go? We want to head over to Hikaru's game. Everyone's still playing. Fabiano's still playing, and in a crazy position here is black. Hikaru Nakamura. Actually, in a little bit of trouble? No. I think he can just take everything on G6. We got a mate threat here. Can you get away with Rook G1? Rook to G1. There is no Queen D5 check, so I think he can get away with Rook G1. Is he oh, you know what he's worried about? Rook G1, Bishop G2 check, sacrificing for perpetual. Ooh, Bishop G4. Wow, this is going to be an absolutely wild finish. Hikaru calculates that he has Queen F1, and he still keeps winning chances alive. Only 2 seconds for OK97. He's winning back some material, but Hikaru still has 2 pieces for the rook. Maybe not anymore. Wow, what a swindle. Does A5 and A6 work is the question. Hikaru has to sacrifice. Now, yeah, when we first came here, you knew it was something spicy, right? This was not going to be an easy one. The rook flipping to the A file, exactly what black needs to do. And I think that OK97, who I don't even know who he is, I probably should, because he's a super strong 2800 plus from Israel, apparently, if we look at the flag. OK97 might be about to get the up. No, wait. Hikaru's 2 pawns are too strong. Can he just play B7? Oh my god, he gives up everything. I don't know if XQC has invented a name for the rook's inability to stop 2-pass pawns yet, but he might want to, right? It wouldn't necessarily be a wooden shield. It'd be like a runaway bobsled. Let's call it that. Let's call 2 pawns that a rook can't stop a runaway bobsled. Hikaru goes full runaway bobsled and beats OK97. Will someone clip that and send it to XQC? I feel like I have to ask permission to describe chess patterns. Okay, look at this. You sacrifice the bishop and the pawns go full runaway bobsled. The rook is unable to stop them. And note that there was nothing to do, right? Things like rook to b7 are just met by a7. And in the end, white is getting a new queen, whether you like it or not. Wow, that was a huge win for Hikaru. I wonder how he felt about that one. We're going to hop over to Grishik's game with the white pieces, trying to get the W against one of my turns. No, Grishik falls short of a victory for the second time today, right? So it's almost like he's lost one. He's already drawn 2 games against lower-rated players. So not necessarily in the best position right now is Sasha. Fabiano did win his game. Maxime Vachier-Lagrave got the W on his board. And a lot of the other big names you would expect. Dmitry Andreikin, Tu Vladimirovich, Haik Matiriasan, Mkhitaryan. Yevgeny Tomaszewski continues to quietly roll along. We checked in on his stream earlier. If you didn't know, he's streaming right now, twitch.tv/YevgenyT. Go check it out. We will be taking our first break for fair play very soon. We're going to see the games finish out here before we do so. But we'll remind you of everything the team is doing. My opportunity during the break, I check in with the fair play room. A private room we manage on Slack, make sure that things seem to be in order. We're always observing, always watching. We're like the big brother of clean chess, right? Okay, that's what we do, because we believe in practicing safe chess here on Chess.com. Always have. All right, this should be a draw, by the way, because there's no transition to the king of punting. See, what white would like to do is trade bishops. You can't advance unless you do that, because the bishop could just sacrifice itself. But there's nothing here, not even a swindle really possible. These guys are just playing it out because they're on TV. They're like, Mom, I'm on TV. I'll keep the game going as long as possible. That's great, honey. Mom, there's a lot of viewers watching. You can't win that endgame anyway, honey. How did you know that bishop endings, Mom? Finally, he allows the trade, and it's a drawn king of pawn ending. So, there you go. All right. We have a lot more tournaments remaining in the Speed Chess Grand Prix. Diamond member 2, King E2, 1-0. Oh, that must be a shout out to the Bong Cloud. Good for you. We'll remind you of the full season schedule, but there's a lot of events remaining. I think this is our 8th week, which means that there's plenty of more to come. 20 events total exist in the SCC Grand Prix season, and we will do 20 every year as part of the build-up, allowing people to qualify. So, all right. We're going to take our very, very first break for fair play, check in with the team behind the scenes. When we come back, we'll remind you of that, talk about the standings, give a shout out to our sponsor and all the things we do here. Don't go anywhere. The Speed Chess Grand Prix continues here on July 21st in just a few moments. And right as round 5 kicks off, we quickly remind you of everything we were doing behind the scenes. The Fair Play Proctoring team is always hard at work. We've closed millions of games. It's hard to even count. Confessions from title players happen regularly, and we'll continue to work hard, especially as we continue to increase our investment and up the prizes here. Remind you what we're also doing in terms of proctoring specifically for these events. Players are randomly brought on camera, asked to do screen share. We do 360 observations in addition to the algorithm and the data that's doing the heavy lifting to check out anomalies in people's play that we're looking into all the time. So remember, we have a huge team, and that's what we're doing behind the scenes. So it's hard at work. Hard at work to make sure we have clean chess and cheaters are caught and removed and banned from the site, even if it doesn't always happen in the public fashion that you would be aware of. But those who pay close attention follow and know exactly what we're doing. And out of respect for people who do make mistakes, we always handle it in the least inflammatory way as possible. But we are acting and we are keeping everything safe. So, all right, well, we've got tons of games going on. We'll check on Hikaru's game first and foremost. That's usually where people like to start. He's on the black side right now. Still on 4 of 4, along with a ton of other players. Hikaru Nakamura is he's got a tough one here. Now you're in that 28-50 range, right? You're in the range where upsets are reasonable and happen often amongst top grandmasters, and we'll see how Hikaru can fare. Let's see, this is where we start to find out of the top GMs of the world's elite who's on form today, right? Fabiano Caruana, we quickly had his position up, involved in yet another Roy Lopez / Italian-looking structure. We'll keep an eye on that. You've got Hike Materiasan taking on Jospam, another player who competed in our Junior Speed Chess Championship last year. This is a fun one. Dmitry Andreikin taking on Gawain Jones. We'll maybe keep an eye on that this round. Maxime Vacher-Lagrave on the black side against Santo Blue. Another well-known name. So tons of places to focus. I haven't seen a game that just jumped out and said, follow me yet. So I'm continuing to bounce. We'll go back to Hikaru so we can get him on camera. Check in over there on his stream as he bobs his head to some random, like I said, probably ABBA, right? If it's not Dancing Queen, sometimes you go, you go other kinds of classic rock. He's already in a better position, better than he was a few moves ago, as black here. This was a line that he played. When was the last time we saw him play this? It wasn't exactly this line, but a game like this we saw him play and achieve a pretty good position. I think it was black against Dingley Ren from the Online Nations Cup. This variation. And again, the main thing that reminded me of it, it was an Italian. The main thing that reminded me of it is not the exact position, but the fact that this dark square bishop is such a dominant factor as this position evolves and goes on. You have to be super careful about it. White will often look to get it traded because of that. So that reminded me of that game that Hikaru, if you remember, it ended kind of surprisingly, right? With the draw offer, Hikaru was probably better with the exchange sack. But I mean, it was a tough situation, right? In a draw with black against Dingley Ren. Not a bad result. But that game was one that I remember from the Online Nations Cup a few months ago. He's played c6 here. What's the idea? If we trade on c6, you have a weak pawn on d6 in exchange for a weak pawn on e4. In fact, looks to favor black as the position opens up. e4 seems difficult to protect. And plus, you might even see d5 to follow, right? So one of the ideas is that if d5 comes in, if you push, I put the knight on e4. If you take, the position just continues to open up for these two bishops to do work. So I think black has options here. And d5 is definitely one I would consider. Okay, Hikaru plays bishop to b5. Kicking the queen one more time. I'd still look for d5, right? Even though e4 is a target, the d6 pawn is isolated, right? So anytime you can trade this sort of long-term positional weakness for an otherwise healthy pawn, usually advantageous. And again, if the tactics work out here for black, you just start spying potential craziness. So bishop e3 is designed to get rid of that bishop exactly as I talked about. But I guess the amount of time white took to do that allowed black to secure this queen side. That's interesting. I don't know. I mean, if I'm evaluating this position from where it was a few moves ago, I feel like black had a little bit of a better plan if he had gone for d5. But still a pretty smooth position for black to play. You can bring the queen out to b6. You can double rooks on the c file. Okay, Hikaru does just that. seems like black should be in decent shape. So, all right, still tons of games ahead. If you're just tuning in, we are only in round 5. And as you can see there on the left, okay, we have a few games in the books, but overall, still many of the best players in the world with a great chance to win the event and ultimately qualify for the 8-player knockout bracket. So that's what happens here every Tuesday. And thanks for being with us. Just giving that shout out. More than 5,000 of you with us across the different platforms. Okay, Hikaru gets d5, but like I said, it feels like this position lost the thread a teeny bit. He can still take d5 because the bishop guards it. You have to be careful about things on e7. Right? So you'd have to take with the knight here. Yeah, he does. And if rook takes, you have to take with the bishop, but then there's queen g4. I guess black has queen f6, and Hikaru's thinking I'm okay. I feel like I'm playing guess the move here pretty successfully between these two guys, but I still feel like if black had an edge, it was a little bit earlier. But if Hikaru gets... Okay, here's the thing. Hikaru's thinking about taking b2, which also guards g7, but also hits the rook. The problem with queen takes b2 is it allows knight takes h6 check. So queen f6 is the warm and cozy move, right? Or even queen to g6 if you want to get the ladies off the board. There is no fork. The knight guards it. Okay, so he goes queen g6. And we get the trade. Rook takes d5 was a threat there with a fork on e7, by the way. So Hikaru is sort of unwinding himself from that position, but under time pressure, this is going to be a wild finish here. That's a pretty focused-looking Nakamura right there. By the way, he must have his AC on because he's wearing a sweater. I am sweating where I am. So just looking at the difference in clothes, right? He's got that nice, looks like a very fleece, probably got that out of LL Bean magazine, right? Looking like a pretty good jacket. All right. Now what can he do? He can take e3, and if... Well, did he just miss rook d1? I think rook d1 was just winning a piece. Both players missed it. Knight takes e3 after rook e1. Black had rook to d1, winning a piece. Hikaru's still in a much better position now. The bishop, the dominant miner over the knight in any kind of, two side of the board scenario. And here comes g2 as a target. So, okay. Hikaru looks like he's going to move to 5 of 5, especially when you consider the time pressure. But that got a little spicy there. Little spicy. Keep an eye on the other ones. We're probably going to go quickly from this one to Fabiano Caruana's game, assuming Hikaru delivers the goods here. Although, it's still looking weird. Now, okay, but now it's got to be able to rook to c2 check, right? Trade the rooks? No, he just sits tight. But knight g3 was a move there. No, knight g3 would have allowed rook c2 winning the rook. Okay. So again, Hikaru should be converting this, but it's just getting a little bit trickier. Bishop to b5. Kind of calls it safe. And now you got to find a way to advance the a-pawn safely. Trying to trade off things, but he's unable to do it. Bishop to c6 allows rook d6, so don't do that. Okay, bishop e6. Now you have... Oh, rook takes f3, bishop d5. Rook takes f3 was also one way to do that, but he settles on bishop d5. Fabiano Caruana as white against Manchuck. I don't know who he is, but it's a great username, Manchuck. Manchuck. Man Bear Pig. Man, remember before South Park jumped the shark? It was so good. Right? Man Bear Pig. Oh, shout out to Al Gore when you were relevant. All right. Any Hooters. So, Fabiano goes to 5 of 5. Hikaru's on 5 of 5. Maxime Vachier-Lagrave is on 5 of 5. This is, we could have some big names. If this kind of pace continues, we've got a lot of the world's elite looking pretty good to qualify their way into the knockout. Hike Materiasan, is he ever in an endgame that isn't just like simple and technical? Like seriously. This is how he plays chess, and he's about to convert on what looks like yet another small advantage. No, actually Jospin keeping it real, making this hard. Theoretically, this should be a draw, right? Black is unable to advance the king without the g7 pawn hanging. Okay, now you've just made it easy, right? Short of some sort of blunder, this is now a easy breezy, beautiful cover girl here. Simple, clean, should be a draw. I probably shouldn't give shout-outs to brands that don't sponsor our show. That'll never happen again. Not. Checking in with chat. Thanks to Hop and the DeLorean. Helping everybody in Chess TV. We appreciate all of our mods working hard. This is an H-pawn draw and shouldn't be anything but that. So we take a moment to just look at the standings. Vladimir Fedoseev having a good day. Fabiano Caruana, Vladislav Kovalyev. Let's switch over and remind everybody of the season standings, since we've got some of those names there, because Vladimir Fedoseev and Vladislav Kovalyev are two of the overall leaders, right? You see Kovalyev is in second, Fedoseev down there in sixth place. Sergei Karyakin is a big name who I don't see today. He's been pretty busy, pretty active. I think the person you got to give the biggest shout out to, though, is Tuan-Min Lee. Again, the strongest international master on the planet. There, I said it. Prove me wrong, right? Prove me wrong, as my kids say. Who asked? I asked. Tuan-Min Lee, the strongest international master on the planet. Wonderful time, as he's known to the kids on Chess.com. Continuing to have a wonderful time. And he's playing well today, as far as I know. All right, well, we had a draw in that game, the one we were following. Round 5 comes to a close with only one game still going here. Another rook-ending draw is likely. We need a Hans versus Wonderful Time mega match. That's not a bad idea. Fisher S, Fisher said, Fisher's EB. Fisher's EB, that's interesting. It's surprising that neither one of those guys is a grandmaster yet. And again, especially right now, given the state of affairs, there is no over-the-board chess. FIDE is literally not rewarding titles, so that's an unfair thing for me to say. I'm not saying that they're not ambitious and attempting to qualify, or sorry, to earn the grandmaster title. Speaking of Hans Niemann and Tuan-Min Lee, but yeah, it's unfair to say those two guys are international master strength for sure. All right, here we go. Look at this. It's time. It's time, right? We've got the big guns coming out. Hikaru taking on Kovalyev. We've also got a lot of other top players. We'll check in real quick with one guy we just pulled up on camera. Ex-DPS is Pablo Salinas, also a streamer, coming to us with his Friar Tuck outfit on. That looks like more than a hoodie. That looks like a full, thing. Like, if he stood up, it's like, oh, that's a lot longer than we thought it was, right? It goes all the way down to the ankles. Pablo Salinas, shout out to ex-DPS. And he's taken on Chessically Inclined in this particular round on the black side of a Slav defense. Give him a little bit of love. Head over to twitch.tv/GM Salinas, looks like. That's his name. Check him out. Give him a follow. And continue to pay attention. Remember, search the chess category. Search the chess category. Look for everybody. Everybody that's streaming. All right. Well, as this game gets underway, I don't even know where to go. So many good matchups. Like I said, Hikaru and Vladislav Kovalyev is going to be among the top. Let's go to Fabiano Caruana, though, and Gambit 9-4. Another one another matchup of two of our leaders right there. Fabiano on the black side. We've also got Maxime Vachier-Lagrave playing the white pieces against Zubov. Alexander Zubov, another player who's done pretty well consistently. I mean, not among the leaders, but I remember we checked in with him on stream a little bit ago, a few weeks ago. So I know that he's a streamer and has performed pretty admirably in these Grand Prix events on Tuesday. Let's see how Maxime's playing here, right? We haven't given the Leon Beast as much love as we normally do. He did draw early, so he's only on 4.5 out of 5. But we'll look at this position a little bit before we check in with some other streamers. Okay. B5. This is almost too much pawn tension for my blood, right? White wants to challenge the c-file, right? You don't want it to be closed. Yeah, so he takes it, but the question is, how's he dealing with b takes? He's just going to concede momentarily and then look to re-exert pressure. One of the funny things about the position is that White's edge is a little bit based on the fact that Black's pawns are farther advanced. Wow, and Bishop F8 just laughs in the face of danger of the dark square bishop here. It makes me think of tactics, right? Something with knight e5. You'd love to make something with e4 work, right? And just get the queen going. But so anyway, what I was saying is when you look at these structures otherwise symmetrical, Black's pawns, while they gain more space, right? You're not using that space necessarily if you're black. You're not using the extra squares available to your pieces. And so these pawns are actually closer to being targets than they are an advantage. B4 was a good move, though, because it closes the diagonal for the queen to poke at A5. So yeah, Zubov is gonna make Maxim's life a little bit hard here. Still a lot to go in this particular game. We're gonna try to bring up Pavel Elyanov's games here in a second. I gotta remember what his username is, because he's streaming. Got to give a shout out anytime you got a grandmaster of that level. Just, you know, streaming randomly. The world has changed. All of our favorite chess players are all over the internet, streaming and growing their own Twitch channels. Big surprise, his username is literally his last name. And here we go. Let's bring him up. Pavel Elyanov is currently engaged in a battle for good and evil against Fakibaz 1. Pavel has got that full, you know, shelter-in-place beard going when he leans back. You'll see it. We have to be careful what words we say these days, because apparently algorithms are out there everywhere attempting to censor our ability to talk about the pandemics of the world that we face. But Pavel Elyanov is streaming to us live from what looks to be the left side of his living room. There's a TV in the background. And he's a super strong grandmaster from Ukraine, if you didn't get the memo. He's going to give us a positional lesson, if I had to guess, about the weak d-pawn. Lightning Speed 900 says he drew Elyanov before. Are you sure it was Pavel Elyanov or a different Elyanov? Kazim says Elyanov's looking old. I don't think so. I think he's just getting that. He's just letting his soul glow. Just letting it out. Right? Knight to d6. Keeps the pieces on the board. He wants to relocate, put some pressure on the d file, go against the d-pawn here. How does that happen? Okay. Brings the other rook to d8 by force, not choice. Bishop attacked it. Right? Now you can move the knight from the next square or double. I think this is, again, I guess the evaluation according to the computer is roughly equal. Thinking white's doing okay. Just from a practical perspective, I really like black's chances. By the way, queen takes a5 allows knight takes f2, which would undefend the e3 knight, right? So the queen is kind of pinned. Ooh, but he does it. Does he miss this? Unless I'm missing something, I think the move is knight takes f2 here. No, rook a8, maybe even better. Really trying to overwhelm white's pieces. Now the white queen has to worry about the bishop and the threat of knight takes f2. And sometimes even moves like knight g3 are weird, right? Where you don't win the pawn, but you force the structure open. Okay, I think knight takes f2 should be good enough, but maybe he brings more pieces in instead. Rook b8 is probably also very interesting, right? If the queen goes to the wrong square, you have knight c3. No, okay, he goes for knight takes f2. Now he's going to play queen takes e3, and should be good enough. Trades queens and wins the a-pawn, right? And now converts on an endgame. So look at that, Pavel Elyanov, right? Doing what he does best. Showing us some good old-fashioned family fun from Ukraine. That's literally good old-fashioned family fun. All right. Well, still a ton going on. Big games going on with the tournament leaders. We got to go back to Kovalyev and Hikaru because this is a time scramble for the ages. Hikaru up the exchange, but with a wide open king. Wait, he's up a rook. He's up a rook with a wide open king. Okay, that's a lot of material. Probably enough for white to win, especially after this move. He should be able to get the pieces off. Queen takes c5. Why not? Yeah, I think Hikaru is going to get the dub, but wow, that was a scramble. Okay, I shouldn't speak too soon. He's only got 6 seconds, right? Both sides under fire here. Kovalyev. Oh, rook e1 was actually just winning for Hikaru right there, a skewer of the queen and rook. But still, Kovalyev probably loses on time, and as I say it, he does, so just can't quite keep up with Hikaru. But again, that's why Kovalyev is a guy that has been leading the season, right? That kind of game right there. That's how you give Nakamura a run for his money, for sure. All right, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave got the W, and so did Fabiano Caruana. So it is the world's elite leading the event today. Let's go back to Tuan Minh Le, the only international master among the top 10 in the overall Grand Prix standings of the 2020 SCC season. So he deserves attention. I'm not sure if Wonderful Time is streaming today. We'll check in on that at some point. Sometimes he does. Gives knight h4 check. Yeah. Oh wait, no. If you take knight f2 check, so Conan is actually what's going on here? I think we might unfortunately about to see Minh Le lose a very rare game to a fellow international master. That does not happen very often. Here comes g2 and it's over. Okay, I mean, at this point, it's just time pressure here, but G2 is Red Rover, and Wonderful Time is going down. A tough loss, a rare loss for Tuan Minh Le. So, shows that he is human. He does lose to international masters. You don't have to be 2,800 feet A to beat him. So, there you go. A big W right there for international master Semen Conan, who's also very talented. I feel like I've said that name a lot when it comes to upsets. Stevis5 says, go Semen. That's right. Go Semen. Shout out to about 600 of you with us on YouTube. We've got about 5,000 plus of you over on Twitch. And if you're on Twitter, Facebook, or anywhere else tuning in, thanks for being here. We appreciate it. Appreciate it. I'm saying it correctly. His name is Semen. Okay? You're not going to trick me into that. All right, we've already had to work hard enough to censor some shows around here. All right. Well, we've got the standings looking over there to the left. A few of the biggest names in the world on 6 of 6. I said Leon Beast was perfect. Sorry, I misspoke. I forgot that he actually drew earlier in the day. So he's only on 5.5 out of 6, but certainly someone with potential to go all the way. Still anybody's game to qualify for the top 8. Can't wait to see our next round get underway. Let's remind you of our sponsor while we have your attention, and everyone wonders about how I'm saying things. Dr. Wolf is your neighborhood-friendly uncle chess coach, just around the corner, always up for a game. If you're up for it, he's up for it. Enjoy the banter, the fun with Dr. Wolf. Get to know him as he gets to know your chess moves and gives you real-time feedback and analysis. The more you play, the more he develops pattern recognition of your style, of your weaknesses, and gives you feedback that normally you would expect from a physical chess coach, but it's pretty awesome. So check it out. Download it on iOS or Android if you haven't, and have some fun with it. All right. Our next round begins. Round 7. Hikaru Nakamura playing the black pieces against Chess Warrior 7197. That is Nordabek Abdusaturov, I believe, the young super talent from somewhere in the Eastern hemisphere of the planet. Is that a thing I can say? I don't know, but I said it. Okay. Nordabek Abdusaturov is seriously an absolute stud and is a star in the making. So if you didn't know who Abdusaturov is, you're going to get to know him very soon over the coming years. Okay, so that's Hikaru's battle. We know that Fabiano Caruana will just take a peek at that game. Is playing the white pieces against Haik Maturiasan. That's going to be a crazy one. Maxime Vachier-Lagrave takes on Oparin Grigori. So wow, it's going to be quite the round here in round 7 before we take our second fair play break and make sure that everyone is rolling. Hikaru is looking a little tired. I agree with you, right? He's been doing commentary for the last few hours, and so he's now putting on the player pants. My player pants don't fit me anymore, so that's why I don't wear them that often. My chess player pants. All right, he's on the worst side of a weird looking Italian here, though. I kind of like White's position. Right, if you came to the board, you might say, why isn't black castling, right? But the king has already moved. Bishop d7 makes sense. You're trying to stop knight b5, but I think that Abdusaturov can capture here. And this is going to be a small edge, right? Hikaru is the stronger, more experienced player, but this is a huge game, huge opportunity. If we're looking at the two Americans leading the way, Fabiano Caruana and Hikaru, probably this game might decide which one of them, this round might tell us who's going to have the slightly better event, at least in this first portion. So, all right, let's back up and take a look at Fabiano's game. We'll swing over. Weirdness all around. Okay, there's tactics on e6. Knight takes f4. If bishop takes, we take. d3's under fire, but there's tactics all over the place over here. So Hike has to pause here, really try to think this through. Despite the eval saying black should be better, I feel like from a practical perspective, I would prefer to play white just because of the open king on the diagonals. But maybe one solidifying move fixes that, like maybe a move like queen f6 or something. Okay, he trades f4 to get rid of the knight, but that's why I kind of felt like I like white. To me, if that's happening, this is an easier position for white to play. The pawn structure, a little bit better for white? Maybe not. I mean, the doubled c-pawns are targets, but the d-pawn is just as weak on the open file. So Fabiano going to bring the queen up to some sort of square, I expect, and try to get the rook to e1. Okay, he goes to e3. I think that you want to play something like rook e1, free your back rank, and white has a small, teeny weeny edge. Queen d5, a great move. You can't actually take h3 because the queen's on it, but it is a nice little tactic when you pin the g2 pawn and you've got the light square bishop. Your opponent has none, so tactics are in the air. Bishop g3. Okay. The issue is that I think black can just double on the f-file here. And the initiative seems to be slipping a little bit, right? You just compare pieces pound for pound, and you kind of like black's queen here. You like the fact that he's got control of the f-file, I think. Now with the bishop on g3, by the way, h3 is not possible because you can just take it with the bishop. The g2 pawn is pinned. All right. This is going to be a time scramble, and it's going to be crazy. So, like every other game in this round, we have to keep a super close eye on it. As we showed earlier, Hikaru Nakamura in a battle with Nordebek Abdusaturov, Chess Warrior 7197, Maxime Bachet-Lagrave taking on Opar and Grigori. So many huge matchups this round. Go to Chess.com and follow it yourself. If you're not happy with the game we're covering. So Rook f8 threatened Queen f1. So white had to free the back rank instead of taking the knight. And now the question is, can white steal the pawn? Bobby says, yes, I can. Okay, that's a pawn, right? A pawn is a pawn. And now you can even back up the bishop if you're worried. You can get more aggressive on the d6 square at some point. So Fabi steals the pawn like a thief in the night. But surprisingly, the position is actually still a little tricky for black. For white, despite the extra pawn. The opscode bishops make it unlikely black is really in that much danger. All right. I'm predicting something like a draw in this game. We're going to back up and go to Hikaru Nakamura's game again. He's playing the black pieces against Nordebek Abdusaturov. This is a tough position here for him to be able to get a win. Hikaru going to be happy for a draw in this game, right? Against a beast of Abdusaturov's level. Especially given that he's down on the clock, and we've got a couple of passed pawns on the queen side. I mean, yeah, I was going to say, white can literally say goodbye to this pawn and win a7, and white probably still in control. Bishop d5, that's a nice move. Now you have g5 check even. Kick the king back. And then capture on g2. No, Hikaru goes for the b pawn. Whoa, what's his idea here? So he wants g5? Is he going for a mating net? That seems just like crazy aggressive from Hikaru. Maybe not necessary. He couldn't take the b pawn, though. I was wrong because there was a fork on d6, so that's my bad. But this is going to get super scary now for black. Hikaru with only 10 seconds. This is the kind of opposite code bishop position you do not dream about because your king can get in a mating net very quickly. Here comes the b pawn. Take with check. I assume you have to meet king g. Oh, he guards a8. Oh my god, that's hilarious. Hikaru did that just to get me to freak out. Classic. Checks the king away to try to avoid the mating net. Now what? Push the g pawn? I guess so. Okay, there's rook f2 check. And again, you push. Wow. I mean, this should be a win for white, right? Abdusaturov should get the win here, but Hikaru has made it super tricky. Very nice finish. Bishop f6. What a find. What a find from Abdusaturov. Wow. That's a huge win. And a super tough, game there, obviously, for Abdusaturov playing Hikaru. But that is a tough loss right there. We'll see if Hikaru can rebound. Fabiano Caruana has a chance to be the clear leader along with Chess Warrior 7197. But unfortunately, I think this game's just going to end a draw for Fabi. This should be a simple and peaceful result, short of a blunder. And okay, and Hike says, yeah, I'm not even into trying to do any tricks. We will take the draw, which means you only have one player perfect after 7 rounds, and that is the youngster, now 16 years old, I believe, no longer 15. Nordabek Abdusaturov is the only person perfect after 7 rounds. We still have a few games going here. We'll check out one right here. We've got Gabix 9-4, lost to Caruana earlier in the event. Looks like he's about to get an easy win, so we won't spend too much time there. Gawain Jones in a crazy one. What's happening here? He's up a piece. Up. Jip. Nope. You're not trading queens. Knight e4 check looks good. Or rook f6. There has to be a mate here, right? Okay, queen d6, king d4. You just started looking for the mate. There must be something. There must be something. Black sacrifices the rook and hopes for perpetual himself, but likely there should not be enough here. The king should have the ability to hide at some point. And indeed, here comes queen e7. Okay, plays tickle a little bit, but should be a very easy draw here. The queen guards e7 and e5. Very quick heads up right there by Gawain. Just to quickly recognize the queen's position on the board. Little geometry lesson. And he's going to clean up nicely. Big win there for the English Grandmaster. Very nice. All right. We still see just a few games going. Olopecos versus Jose Herrera, manager for the Buenos Aires, I believe. Are they? No, they're the Spain Raptors. Yeah, the Spanish Raptors. My bad on that. Whoa. Wow. What a swindle there by White. Bishop d5, and he sacrifices into a winning king and pawn ending. Because the king is shielded from the h-pawn. The white king is perfectly placed to walk the h-pawn up the board. That's a nice combination to quickly recognize heading into the king and pawn ending there. If black doesn't play bishop d5, this is an easy draw, right? Keep the bishop somewhere on the board that guards the f-pawn, and you shouldn't have any problems. But he blunders with bishop d5, and white immediately recognizes the idea of sacrificing into the king and pawn ending and pushing Harry up the board. Wow, that was a nice game right there. Okay. Well, we have our round 7 fair play check that gets underway here in just a moment. The last game is seconds away from reaching a conclusion. Kind of a shocking idea there to just willingly go in to the king and bishop versus king and rook ending. I guess we're going to be here for a while because I don't think black is just going to give him a draw. That was a weird decision to just give up the pawn. I mean, because now only black can win. So if I was black, I'd play this on forever, right? Stranger things have happened than white losing a king and bishop versus king and rook ending. So we'll see. We'll see. I'll check in with chat as we watch this. Check in with chat. 5,500 of you on Twitch. Thanks for being here. Again, Danny jinxed the clock. Did I? Cupend on Chess TV says I jinxed something. Maybe. I don't know. I've been jinxing things since I was born, including my parents' happiness. So there you go. All right? It happens. Call me Sir Jinx a lot. I got my throat coat echinacea tea going here, which is good for the system. Okay, look at this. This is the problem. This is why white. This is how you lose this thing. This is why there was no reason to do that. If I was National Master Giraffe Chess's coach, I would be shunning him for the fact that he just created that loss. And by the way, he lost on time, right? There's just no reason to do it. And let's just take the advice just for a real quick second before we go to the break. You're in a position where obviously it's a draw with king and bishop versus king and rook, but the fact that you're guarding the h-pawn makes it easy, right? Bring the bishop to d3 now and then run the king if you want to sit in the center, right? Just play tickle with the king and bishop on this diagonal forevermore, and there's never an opportunity for white to lose. The king literally can't leave the queening square, right? Instead, willingly saying, well, I'm just going to give up the pawn because this is a draw too, is like the worst practical decision you can ever make, right? It's a theoretical draw, but in theory, it still has to be played. And with no time on the clock, people lose these endgames all the time. So That was not the best practical decision you could make. But we're going to make a good decision and check in with the team behind the scenes, make sure that the Fair Play crew is happy. We roll along, get closer to our 8-player knockout. The SCC Grand Prix continues in 3 minutes. And we are back yet again. Round 8 has literally just begun. I see dozens of moves being made, and I think we know where we need to focus right there at the top. The battle of Chess Warrior 7197 taking on Fabiano Caruana. 7197, perfect right now, 7 out of 7. And we'll see if he can keep up the pace against the highest rated American on the planet. So, wow, what is this opening? I'm already fascinated, just taking a peek at the board and getting my chess vision on. We have a Bishop C4 Italian game, but then we quickly see the sharpest variations, and Fabiano takes with the bishop. This is not a line you see every day. Mainline Scotch games follow e takes, and after e5, d5, bishop b5, knight e4. The position is very well known, very well traveled theory. Giving up the bishop pair to hold on to the extra pawn. This has got to be some new. It's got to be some new prep, some new stuff for Black. These guys always training with the top and best chess engines in the world, and Fabiano already up a pawn. Wow. Perhaps I'm going to give the youngster a lesson here as Black. I mean, wow, seriously, Black has won a pawn and doesn't look to be any worse for it, right? I mean, you've got the double pawns, but with that, you have the G file for an attack. The king has totally safe potential on the queen side of the board. There hasn't been any time management that would suggest, though, that Abdusattorov has been surprised, right? That's what's funny, is, you know, he's neck and neck with Caruana, in fact, even up on the clock right now. So it makes you wonder with this sort of really, really funny line with bishop takes d4, which I haven't seen every day anyway. And the fact that he played so quickly means he's clearly not out of his depth necessarily. But how can you not like Black here? Black is up a clear pawn. e4 is weak. You can easily castle long, and I think White's king would be the one in danger. I mean, if I was castled long and bishop c6 and this diagonal became open, that might mean that Abdusattorov gets the queens off the board, but trading queens probably not going to work out so well either, right? We trade twice on f6, then king e7 and f6, and this e4 pawn's going to fall. So instead, he keeps the queen on the board, hits a7, by the way. So that's a nice little trick. He's preventing Caruana from castling long because he's spying a7. But still, just on like a big picture level, okay, I don't know what. Does Fabi play a6 here maybe? To free the pawn, also guard b5. That's a possible move. You could also just play h5 and h4, right? That would be something. f5. Wow. Gotta show the checkmate. Can I show the checkmate? Come on. If e takes, bishop check, king g1, your move. Puzzle rush time. Gotta see patterns like that. That's fun. f5 is played precisely to pry open the diagonal, and even though the checkmate is obviously to fit Danny's fancy, it's actually a real problem here. The light squares are a serious issue, and this has been super impressive. If we're talking about Caruana flexing some high-level prep. Now you can play bishop c6 anyway. You could even take on b5 and then play c6. Wow. Okay. Well, Abdusattorov, the only player perfect as of this moment, but you see a very, very big list of players on 6.5 out of 7. A couple of them on 6.5 out of 8, though, not exactly the same thing, including Vladislav Artemiev. And then you've got 6 of 7 players led by guys like Korobov there, Gogev, Haik Matiriasan, Hikaru Nakamura, Gawain Jones having a good day. Nice to see. The Englishman rocking it. Haven't seen Gawain play this well in a Title Tuesday for a long time. Okay, so this is interesting. So Fabi goes for that line where he takes and plays c6. But it doesn't seem to be what the computer liked, thinking that White's doing well now. Interesting. I still, from a practical point of view, love Black's position. I can see why Fabiano did what he did to get the king out of harm's way. This White king is still in a lot of danger. But okay, I mean, obviously it's much more unclear now. White has won the pawn back. So it'll be interesting to see whether we see a line like this become into more fashion here. To be fair, it's not like you see the line with d4 that Abdusattorov played every day, so this response with weirdness, bishop takes d4 isn't something you're going to see every day. But still, I'd be curious to see what happens in this line if we look at it closer. Knight to c5 disconnects the queen from the king side and threatens to take e4. If you play rook to e1, do I have rook to d2? I want it. I want it. He does. Such a weird position. This is just... I feel like anybody could blunder at any time. Abdusatturov plays b4 and is back on the grind. Back in an advantage here. Brings the queen back to e3. Queen to d6 immediately from Caruana. Now rook f2. Okay, he's trying to simplify the position. But the fact that he's playing so well and so quickly, right? This kid is having one of his best tournaments today. Up on the clock and up on the board. Chess Warrior bringing it. Right? Like Xena, Princess Warrior. Right? Shout out to you, WGN. Okay, but a good game right now for white. Jokes aside, playing very well. F5, I like that move. Here comes the practical lash back by Caruana. Trying to go after the white king. Plays e4, preparing rook f3, but don't blunder it now. That would have allowed queen takes f3, so knight f6 instead. But this is getting tricky, right? The biggest issue is time here if you're Caruana, right? You're way down on the clock. Wow, he finds queen to d6. What a move. That threatens rook f3, and if bishop takes e4, rook e5. Fast Fabi, sometimes best Fabi, huh? He's way down on the clock, but he's finding these perfect moves. And now, whoa, knight h5 instead of taking e4. Was that best? I thought maybe he could take e4 and queen d1, but knight h5. What a move here. Forking the queen and pawn. Rook e7 now, I think. No, he just moves the king to safety. Okay. Biggest issue for Abdusatturov is that g3 is hanging. Wait, queen d2 check? No. Rook takes e4. And then queen takes g3? I think Fabi might have just missed something. Rook takes e4 and queen takes g3 looked crazy scary. Now queen to f8 check, but it's just a check. Unless we see a draw. No. No, Abdusatturov wants more. b5. Wow, look at the mating net. He's trying to go for b6. And the king is a problem on the back rank. Queen to b4 is a really funny move, though. It guards f8 and threatens rook takes e4. This is crazy. Queen to b6. Wow, threatening queen to d8 and a draw. Oh, he just mates him on b7. Oh my god, just blunders mate on b7. I thought that queen to b6 allowed queen takes e1 and a draw. But it was mate on b7. Duh, as they say. I guess black had to take e4. But even that probably was no good. Queen to d8 and like rook a1. Wow. Abdusatturov flexes and moves to 8 of 8. An absolutely crazy good day for the youngster. All right, well, so many games now finishing in rapid fashion. I don't even know where to go. Hikaru Nakamura got the dub against Indian lad. Danil Dubov. Let's check this out. On the white side of a worse ending. Probably only black can win here. Extra b-pawn. Although, nice little quick maneuver there. Flexing the bishop over the knight. Biggest problem is you're still down a pawn, so it's only a question of whether black wants to play for a win. Although that allowed king c4, so now you're getting yourself in slightly more territory that perhaps... Okay, what am I saying? Only black can win this. Look at the clock. Okay, I mean, the fact that he's just playing these... Yeah. No time on the clock. Shout out to Didic8, rocking the Danny OMG flare, right? Crazy OMG face. Gotta love that. All right, Vladimir Fedoseev is on the black side. Oh, and he's about to win a rook. Rook a2. Oh, you can take it at stalemate. Classic. There was no way to win anyway, but what a great way to finish, right? Classic checkmate. Crazy stuff. Okay. Well, the round continues to roll on here, and that being round 8. We take a look at the standings there. Chess Warrior, as we said, in a perfect 8 of 8 score. Now taking on Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, most likely, right? I don't see any other pairing possible. Maxime, the only player on 7.5 out of 8, so that pairing is forced. That's going to be where we focus for the most part. It kind of has to be. Raunik Sudwani, the young Indian talent, also having a good day there. Someone who kind of grew up on Chess.com. I feel like we've been covering his game since he was, 12. He's probably like 13 now, but and then after that, you see still, though, a lot of the biggest names in the game, right? Hike Matiriasan, Hikaru Nakamura, Alex Shimonov, Eric Hanson, by the way. I don't know why. It was so funny. We haven't covered Eric's games early in an event in a long time. Maybe we gave him a bit of good luck. I don't know, the opposite of the Danny Jinx. If Eric Hanson gets the W, could we have a chess bra in the knockout? Wouldn't that be exciting? Honestly. Crazy stuff. Okay, well, we get set. We check out with chat. Check out with chat. We've got chat. We've got Twitch chat. 6,000 of you. Thanks for being here. Shout out to Rakesh there with the resub. Only because I just saw it. YouTube. Chess TV. We're rolling. Classic checkmate. Danny Reg prefers stalemate. That's not true. I don't know that I prefer stalemate. I prefer fun. All right, we've got one more game still going here in round 8. Play Good 28. That's so funny. My name was Play Good 27. Some random number there. All right, but seriously, whoa, Black literally made that move with no time on the clock. The client, meaning our browser, hasn't even updated with the server. But remember, the server holds the master in terms of the time. So 1.8, Black is making moves in time, apparently. Apparently doing so pretty quickly, actually, gaining a little bit of time barely with every move. But other than some sort of time pressure blunder or flag, this should be a draw. 0.1, though, right there. Crazy stuff. Now, the question, if you're white, is do you make a move to try to catch Black in a pre-move, right? Because Black only has 2 bars, meaning his connection is poor. Oh, wait, but White's rocking a 2-bar connection himself, right? So anybody could flag due to lag. It's anybody's flag game here. We'll see if someone can do something dirty. Little pre-move trick. All right. Wait, he did lose on time. I thought I said all right like it was going to be a draw, but there you go. All right. Well, we've got Maxime Vacher-Lagrave playing the white pieces here versus Chess Warrior. Can anyone stop the young talent? The Leon Beast, the Beast of Leon, is being called upon by his Super Grandmaster 2800 Club brethren. Hikaru and Fabiano have gone down to the youngster, but we'll see what Maxime can come up with here today in round 9. After this, of course, we have round 10, and then we move into the knockout. So still lots of chess ahead. Oh, wow, we've got Eric Hanson versus Hikaru. OMGs or snaps. I don't know that it gets better than that. Well, it's hard, right? We can check in with Hikaru. We can check in with Hanson. We've also got the game between MVL and Nordicbeck. So we'll give Hikaru and Hanson a little bit of love here to start. But they're also playing a Berlin, so awkward, right? Meaning, if you're asking me my favorite opening to cover, the Berlin, this particular variation doesn't always make the top 75, if you know what I'm saying, right? It's a long list of openings that we'd rather cover before the Berlin exchange variation like this. So, and is that true? I see a comment from YouTube saying that Eric lost his first game but has come all the way back. That's fantastic. So, again, shout out to Mr. Hanson, although he's run up against a very difficult opponent in Hikaru Nakamura, especially given the time control here. This is one that Hikaru regularly kind of flexes on Eric. Now, nothing against Eric. Hikaru does it to a lot of people, but this is a tough one. Tough one. Eric going to have to avoid time pressure. Right now, he's already down on the clock, down to 2 minutes and 10 seconds. So, yeah. Crazy game. Hikaru playing very quickly, going to trade, take on d5, and so it's simple, right? I mean, and the problem is, objectively, from a chess perspective, Eric would be happy to draw Hikaru, right? But from a knockout perspective, you play the event to win. Neither player would be happy with a draw here. It might cost them both moving on to the 8-player knockout, to be honest, because there's a lot of people that could leapfrog them, right? So somebody wants to get the W here. All right, but let's back up. I want to head back over to Maxime Vachier-Lagrav's game with Nordebek Abdusatturov. We see some simplification. Trade of the bishops on the long light square diagonal, followed by e4. Okay. The main thing that Nordebek has been doing well, you have to give him credit for, has been the speed, right? Again, he got himself in a crazy position against Caruana where probably Fabi had some chances there, right? There was these tactics with 95, but the bottom line is Fabi didn't have time. And that's been the major plus for the young speed demon. Okay, b4. Queen e8. Okay, interesting. A weird move there from Abdusatturov, taking on the weakness. I don't think that was the best move. Maybe. But how does white really take advantage of that, right? So you put the knight on c4, which feels good, right? You're sticking it to the now isolated c5 pawn. Rook d8, though, puts pressure on d3. So white's a little better here, right? I mean, this is definitely an edge for Maxime, but it's a technical one that you have to really be accurate to convert. If this knight finds its way into the d4 square, which is exactly what he's trying to do, who's better in the endgame? But look at Maxime. He might be able to flex a positional lesson, right, on the kid. Because you've got the good knight versus the bad bishop, right, so to speak. The bishop is blocked behind the pawn, limiting mobility. Is it an advantage that really one could write home about? I mean, probably not enough to win by itself, but if you combine it with some b-file pressure. This is also a very simple position, right? So one that Maxime can play quickly and maybe catch up on time here. Not anymore. Wow, f5. Abdusatturov plays f5. Willingly opening his king, trying to create counterplay from a practical perspective. I love it, right? You're literally trying to create much more of a mess than you are to kind of sit on the good knight versus bad bishop play. Rook to d8 right away. The question is, does white want to play f3, right? You'd love to unpin the e4 pawn, but then your second rank becomes exposed. So he plays king g1, which is another way to try to unpin the e4 pawn, and Abdusatturov captures. If we get a big exchange, this isolated e and c pawn should give white an advantage. This should be better for MVL, for sure. Bishop to f6. Wants to head to d4, right? Obvious goal. Put the bishop on d4 and try to use the f-file. Maxime plays e5. Punches the bishop back. Now wants to simplify. Rook to d3. Wow, rook d4. What a move. That's a really instructive point for people playing these kind of games where the rooks kind of stare at each other on the open file, because if white takes, you not only help the c pawn not be isolated, but also helps the bishop, helps the whole position, right? So now the queen on d5 is kind of forcing white's hand, right? Forcing you to capture. Now, still probably white shouldn't lose this position, right? The knight is a thriving blockader. You could play for f3 and still bring the king out. There's no longer any rooks. You're not worried about the second rank. But still, a very good move there, rook d4. h4, h5. Trying to go alpha 0? What are you trying to do? Maybe just going to play tickle. Abdusatturov happy with a draw, given that he's leading the event. Can't blame the kid. Draws with the black pieces, right? Gets himself closer to likely qualifying for the knockout. And there you go. Nordebek Abdusatturov, the young 16-year-old phenom, continues to do very well. He's being chased by a lot of great players, though. We were talking about Hikaru Nakamura's game. We can go back there because he's playing Eric Hanson. Whoa, Eric's up a pawn. Hikaru doesn't want to draw, but he might have to settle on it, because if you don't, then you really out yourself, right? I think we might see a draw. Shout out to Hanson for holding the beast of Nakamura to the half point, right? And again, it's a weird result, because if you're Eric, you're happy because, you're the underdog going against Hikaru Nakamura, but it may mean that neither one of you qualify. Okay, Fabiano, what in the world happened here? Taking on Kuparadze. going for a mating net with the move bishop h5. He wants to play f5 and bishop g6, but yeah, likely not going to happen. Not gonna work here. Not gonna work here anymore. Okay, Kuparadze just taking his time here, but should be any move. Honestly, there's just too many passed pawns. Plays knight f6. Not a bad move. Make a trade. Probably going to try to swindle a draw. I mean, partly the risk of that move from Kuparadze is kind of a move you play against... Whoa. Fabiano just resigns. I was going to say, probably wasn't the best move, but he just wanted to simplify against Caruana. Understandable. You don't want to face a guy like that with a mating net going. So, all right. Well, we have had a shakeup, right? Started out looking like it would be all the big names in the top 8. Right now, you've got Nordabek Abdusaturov leading the way. Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. Korobov. The Blitz talent always wins best hairdo, according to me. Go Gif. That's 4th place. Then Hikaru Nakamura. And Raunak Sadwani continuing to roll. Gosh, I cannot help but just openly root for Eric Hansen to get a W in this next round. It would be amazing to have the Chess Bras, one of the Chess Bras, in the top 8. It would be super exciting. And shout out to Vladislav Artemiev, the Siberian Elephant, Sib Elephant, worked his way all the way back into the top 8 after a very rough start himself. So wow, could be anybody's game as far as who qualifies for the top 8. We see the results just continuing to roll in. Gautam Bailey, speaking of talented juniors, on 8 of 9. This is going to be an exciting knockout bracket for sure, full of a nice mix of youngsters with super grandmasters we know and love. Likely guys like Maxime and Hikaru if they can hold on and qualify. So, okay, Haik Materiasan getting our attention now. Nope, not anymore. Going to be a draw. Knight takes c4. Nice trick by Shimonov. If the king had taken, it was stalemate. All right. A number of moves here. It should be a very simple draw. There's no way to move forward. Whoa! He loses on time! What is he doing? Just make a move. Why was he overthinking it? Oh my God. He played so well. I see someone on Chess.com's chat saying he finally had the draw. Yeah, apparently he had been defending a bad position for a very long time. But Shimonov holds on and has an easy draw. What was he thinking about in those final seconds? This knight takes that knight takes c4 trick was just perfect, right? Taking advantage of the stalemate. The fact that the king had nowhere to go, but then takes way too much time here. Just any move, pre-move. Pre-move knight d2, right? I mean, one of the fun tricks to keep in mind is that knight d2, if the king tries to move to this square, for example, to stop knight c4, you actually have to move knight e4, right? Deflecting the knight away from defending the pawn, and it's an easy draw. Wow. Obviously, I'm not one to judge. I lose positions like this for a living, but that's a heartbreaker. And it does keep Haik Materiasan, though, alive, right? Mkhitaryan leapfrogs and gets back into the top 5 with that victory that he probably shouldn't have had. And there you go. This is going to be a very tough finish. You're looking at guys like Hikaru Nakamura, Eric Hansen. These guys have got to get victories to get into the knockout, or they will be leapfrogged. And then you've got lists of names who often are right there, right? Number 10, the Siberian Elephant, is Vladislav Artemiev. Vladislav Kovalyev, one of the leaders in the overall season this year, right? Chasing with 7.5 out of 9 in 14th place. Going to be crazy. Going to be crazy. Going to be fun. Can't wait for round 10 to begin. And here we go. I'm always checking the chat, Cup End. Just not always reading. I always say, if you want something... I jinx the time again? What are you talking about, Cup End? I'm like, jinx yourself over there in Chess TV chat. I didn't jinx anything. Although I guess I did. I said it was a draw and he lost on time. Darn it! Cup End's right again. Cup End strikes again. Okay, wow. Well, here we go. We've got, Haik Materiasan taking on Chess Warrior. This could be a very tough one for the kid. Haik has such a tough style in these, whoa, they just agreed to a draw. Nothing like me hyping up a result to see a Grandmaster draw. where Chess Warrior for sure clinches himself in. You would think that probably Hike Materiasan does as well, but it's a risky move. I mean, there is a possibility some people could leapfrog him in terms of the tiebreakers. There's enough people on 7.5 out of 9. That could be a risky draw. Maxime Vachier-Lagrave taking on Gautam Bailey here with the black pieces. Hikaru on the white side taking on Raunik Sodwani. So these are going to be. So this is a couple of the. I don't want to say the old guard. Maxime and Hikaru are super young. These are a couple of the well-known household names taking on two very talented up-and-comers, Gautam Bailey and Raunik Sodwani. So this should be a crazy one. You've also got Korobov over here taking on Vladislav Artemiev. So if you want to follow the games yourself, there's no way I'm going to catch all the exciting moments. Go to chess.com/live. If one of our mods can send a link in chat, that would be awesome. Go ahead and head over. So we will bounce around, but again, there's just no way I'm going to be able to catch the final moments of all these games. Yeah, we'll go check out Hikaru, because we know we can get Hikaru on camera. That's always a little more fun for the people. Hikaru with the white pieces here against Raunik. I already like White's position, but the computer doesn't, so it always makes me check my self-esteem. As if I didn't have enough self-esteem issues, then all of a sudden the chess engine was created. Now I really don't have any confidence in life. Hikaru sacks the exchange, but he doesn't like it either. He's shaking his head. Going for something kind of practical and tricky, I guess. Of course, we also could check on Eric Hanson. That's right. I see chat yelling that Eric Hanson, also in in a game that could also be super crucial if he gets a victory. He's taking on Jospin right there. If you look at, that's the number 9 versus number 12 players in the standings. Knight G4 is a good move. Raunik Sodwani, super talented kid from India. Knight G4. Threatening to take. Threatening to simplify the position. Right? You got to go for this. As much as you hate giving up that dark square bishop, you can't allow everybody to be traded. Got to keep some practical chances alive. Hikaru does have a pawn for it, right? So you've got a pawn for the exchange. You know, that looks like a weird move. I think Queen C4 just gains a tempo. Interesting. Maybe not. Okay, he does. I was going to say Hikaru could have also played H4, H5. Don't let the eval bar fool you on this one. Yes, black is better, and objectively the material, you know, favors black, right? You have a rook versus a miner and a pawn. But there's definitely an imbalance to the position, right? You have the knight versus the bishop and the rook dynamic. Like, there could be some tricks here. So the question is, how do you really play for a win? That's the risk if you're Hikaru, right? Because if you start being too aggressive, then black gets counter strikes. The best thing white has is to probably sit tight. Wait a second. Rook d4 apparently is not a good move. I have no idea. White, knight h6 check. Oh, he found it. Look at Hikaru. He found it. He goes, oh, that's a good move. I didn't know what the move. I just saw the eval bar say there's something here. I wish I had a guardian angel saying, hey, Dan, don't make that decision tonight. Anyway, knight to h6 check is the eval bar guardian angel. That's the move, and Hikaru finds it. If bishop takes, you win the rook, and if the king moves, you have knight takes f7. Wow, what a move. Knight h6 check. I don't think that was the best. I think Sodwani should have cut his losses and just taken. And that's a hard psychological thing to do when you knew you were better. He should have just recognized that, all right, I bleeped up. Just go to the opscode bishop ending. That was a horrible decision. Hikaru's going to win this now. This is the opscode bishop ending that you dream about, because you already have a target that's on the same color as your bishop, right? The one thing black has going for it is that he also has targets on the same color as the dark squares. But if you calculate, which I'm sure Hikaru was doing, I mean, it just makes me want to give up f2 for c6. b5 is also possible, and here comes Charlie, right? But if you can play bishop e8, bishop d4, take c6, give up f2, you bring the bishop back, and then push him, baby, right? This should be straightforward for Hikaru, I think, to at least have a 2-result position. Okay, he plays g3. Hikaru must have calculated the line deeply enough to know that giving up f2 for c6 wasn't needed. And, you know, it makes sense positionally, given that c6 isn't going anywhere, right? Like, c6 is a weakness that can't really be undone. Now here comes b5. b5 and c6, he missed it. Got to be winning. Yeah, Hikaru's going to get the dub. The question is, does he stop bishop e5 first, right? That's what he's calculating. Rook d7 first. Still good. Likely black will have to give up the bishop on c7, but if black plays bishop e5, c6, rook over. No, but then white has f4. Yeah, so should be winning for white. Should be winning for white. Okay, wow. Well, we've got Hikaru on camera here. Maybe we'll check in with Eric Hanson's game here in a second. If we can prepare to pull up Eric Hanson, we might be able to catch him on camera. If he qualifies, I think Eric is going to go nuts. So we're gonna check over on Eric Hanson's game in a second. I think Hikaru is going to get this victory, given the technique that he has. If I had to guess, for those of you wondering, but we're gonna go look at Eric Hanson's battle versus Jospin here in just a second. See what Hikaru does. Bishop a5 did allow rook takes f7, so I'm a little confused by that. Yeah, this should be winning for Hikaru. All right, we'll keep an eye on both. We're going to go look at Eric Hanson's game. He's playing black here against Jospin. All right. Unfortunately, the chess bra is in big trouble if we take a look at the position here, but that move let him right back in. And here he is. Final moments. G4. Wait, it allows rook to f2? Rook f2 and then knight f4, and it's mate on g2. Oh my god! Jospin just blundered. Hanson's going to qualify. g4 allowed knight f4. It's over. There's no way to deal with rook f2 and then knight g2 is mate on king e1. This has to be winning for Eric. Rook h8. He's winning the rook. I think there was a mate there, but he missed it. Okay, it doesn't matter. He doesn't have enough time. He should still win this. Rook to f1. Okay, he's going to lose g7, but it shouldn't matter. Black should be converting on this position. Rook f2 check. Now you can go right back to f4. There's got to be a mating net, right? Knight d3 is a threat, so white stops it. Knight g2 gets the knights off the board. Should be simple enough. You trade and win f3. And unless there's some sort of crazy blunder miracle, Eric Hanson is going to move on to the top 8. Absolutely crazy. There he goes. Eric Hanson going to get the W. There he goes. He claps for the boys. I'm sure he'll be screaming here in just a second. So many of the games. By the way, Hikaru Nakamura did get the W against Raunak Sadwani, so all those who want to say that I jinxed it, you're wrong. Hikaru Nakamura gets the victory. Vladislav Artemiev, after losing early in the event, comes all the way back. He's pulling a Hikaru from 2 weeks ago. And look at that. We didn't even cover Maxime Vachier-Lagrav's game, but he got the W. Who did he play? Maxime drew. I guess he was in a better position. He was able to have peace and still qualify. So you're likely looking at what the final standings will be, because if you look at the amount of games played, everybody in that top 20 leaderboard has finished their 10th round. So there you have it. That's probably how it's going to be if we were to run them down. Nordabek Abdusaturov, Haik Matiriasan, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, Hikaru Nakamura, Vladislav Artemiev, Gautam Bailey, Alexander Moskalenko, Eric Hanson qualifying by the skin of his teeth. Absolutely nuts. That is just crazy. We are going to have a ton of star power to bring today's day to a close. There's one game here. I think that these two guys here, Kuparadze and Fandarine, so maybe I'm speaking a little too soon. I think these guys have the potential. These would be the only two guys who could change what I just said. But what's funny is a draw would hurt them both. A draw would hurt them both, and that should be the most likely result. I don't remember what Kuparadze's score is. I'll check out the standings right there. Gonna check out the standings as it happens. Where is Giga Kuparadze here? Yeah, he's got 7.5 out of 9. So Kuparadze, if he wins this game as black, could shake up the standings. I don't know what his tie breaks are, but this could be a game that changes everything as far as who's in the top 8. And looks like he actually may have just swindled a victory. Oh my god, Kuparadze's going to knock someone out of the top 8. It's a win. King G1 and it's over. Classic Lucina. Holy bejesus snaps. What are the tiebreakers? Is that enough for Kuparadze to kick Eric Hanson out? What just happened? No, it's not. Kuparadze takes the 9th place. His tiebreakers are a little bit worse than Eric Hanson's. And therefore, that's what you're going to see heading into our knockout. Okay, that's assuming everybody passes our fair play check. The team going to continue to review things. and dive into the weeds here behind the scenes as we prepare for the knockout. So don't go anywhere. When we come back, it's the most exciting part of our day here every Tuesday. The Speed Chess Grand Prix moves into the 8-player knockout bracket. The players join us on camera. We get to focus even more on the highest level of blitz chess that you get to see week in and week out. When we return, the SCC GP continues in just a minute. And it's the moment you've all been waiting for. The bracket reveal, the Speed Chess Grand Prix continues here on July 21st, and that's how they will be. We got a battle of the Super Juniors over there on the left. Nordabek Abdusaturov versus Abdullah Gadambeli. Gonna be awesome there. You've got Hikaru Nakamura taking on Artemiev. That is not a first-round matchup that either of those guys wants. That's crazy. Hike Matiriasan taking on the chess bra himself, Eric Hansen. And then you've got Maxime Vachier-Lagrave taking on Alexander Moskalenko. I literally have no pick on who wins today. Abdusaturov has been a stud all day. Obviously, it's almost impossible to want to pick against a guy like Hikaru Nakamura, but Maxime Vachier-Lagrave and Artemiev have both won events this year already. They have both taken down the top prize. And then you've got the chess bra, right? Everyone's favorite dark horse. Well, all I know is we've got more than 10,000 of you with us, more than 9,000 on Twitch alone, almost 1,000 on YouTube itself. Thanks for being here, tuning in for the Speed Chess Championship Grand Prix. That's how the main event ended right there. You see the final standings. Abdusaturov was on top. Hike Matiriasan and Maxime Vachier-Lagrave followed closely. But at this point, that was just the formalities, right? Now we're in the knockout where it really, really matters. So, Abdusaturov versus Gadambeli is the 1-8 matchup that is just getting underway. Hikaru Nakamura making his first moves against Artemiev. Hike Matiriasan taking on Eric Hansen. And then we have Maxime Vachier-Lagrave and Moskalenko. So again, all four of these games are live. You can go to Chess.com's live server right now. Maybe our mods can give direct links to these games. Help everybody out. If you're one of the 10,000 viewers who maybe is just getting here, you haven't missed the most exciting conclusion. And I think we're going to focus on the chess bra himself, Mr. Chess Bra Eric Hansen, for a little bit, playing in his first knockout of the year. Since we converted Title Tuesday to be a part of the SCC family, 20 events qualify into the main $100,000 16-player knockout. Eric has not had an event like this since we launched the season back on June 2nd. So he's got a tough pairing here with the black pieces against Hike Matiriasan, but still, this is exciting, and it's exciting to see the chess bra get an opportunity like this. Again, remember, lots of other games you can follow. Abdusaturov, Gadambeli, Nakamura, Artemiev, MBL versus Moskalenko. Just go to chess.com and follow the games yourself. All right, Eric Hansen is black in this semi-slot, closed queen's pawn opening. Not quite a semi-slot as I look at it. There's no pawn on c4, right? So we clearly started out with some sort of Verisov or something with the knight choosing to go in front of the c-pawn. A positionally dubious move that you don't really ask beginners to go for. But for players of this level, it has other merits, both practical and kind of just dynamic in nature. It's not a traditional Queen's Gambit pawn structure. But even with all those things said that justify why top players break the principles, it doesn't mean that it's a great opening for white. I think that Eric is in a completely fine position here. Very solid. Knight g5 is a weird move. And it makes me wonder, is Hike about to go all in here for some sort of attack? He's obviously kept the option open, right? He's got options to swipe both left and right, right? Depends on the app he's using. He takes on e6. I got a weird feeling we're going to see a crazy attack here from Hike. f3 and g4 could be on the agenda. You could even see bishop takes f6 and g4. I don't think you'll see it anymore now that it's not a tempo. Yeah, so you go back for f3 and g4. But if you're Eric, you've got to be happy with this because this gives you an opportunity for a win, right? This is the kind of position that is going to be super tricky, double-edged from now until finish. The main thing Hanson has to focus on is not getting under serious time pressure, which we know he can do. Wow, g4. So the idea is that bishop takes e3, white takes on f6 first, and only then takes h5 once the knight has been removed. So if you do the math in your head, takes, shake and bake, and the g file is going to become open, and white's going to get an attack. You might still be able to go for that. Hanson's certainly going to think about it, but it's going to be super crazy. He decides to take on g4 and maybe now take e3, but oh, this is going to get so spicy. Here comes h5. The h file opens up. This is scary. But you're kind of all in already. Yeah, when you start playing defensive moves, I don't know that that really stops white's attack from being any less dangerous. Whoa, bishop f4. Weird move. Okay. Bishop f4. I think Hanson can maybe get away with even just keeping the bishops now if he wants. He could also trade and then try to get counterplay like queen b. Do you have queen b6? Do you have c5? You try to open up this side of the board. Okay, he brings the knight back to f6. He's going to try to use the e4 square, but the problem is things like f5 and just blow everything open. Put a rook on the g file, a queen on d2, and castle long. Oh, man, yeah. That's exactly the kind of move I would play. And I would do it without even thinking. I would also lose, but in general, my idea is going to be shown here by Hike Matiriasan. He's going to castle long. The queen is going to enter in on the dark squares. Now he'll take f5 before he castles long. But this is going to get... Whoa, I don't know that that was the best decision. Why not just take it? They're both overthinking this. Black should have just taken this pawn here. I don't know how white breaks through. Okay, he plays rook g8 and now g5. This is about to get super crazy. We're going to keep Eric on camera here. I'm just going to flash the positions. Nordabek Abdusaturov looks better against Gautam Bailey. Hikaru Nakamura also looks, well, it's very equal against Artemiev. And MVL is in a slightly better position here, maybe even much more than that against Alexander Moskalenko, who's bringing us the Cyrillic alphabet there. Loving that. All right, we're going to go back to Eric's game and give him the attention that he doesn't always get. Qualifying for the top 8 today is already an awesome achievement amongst this list of Super Grandmasters, but I know Eric wants more. Can he get out? Can he run the king, right? Running of the bulls, get the king out of dodge. Go to g7 and f8 before it's too late. Yeah, he goes for it now, but the problem is, regardless of whether white actually converts on the attack, it's the clock that is the problem. And, yeah, this is going to get crazy spicy here. Nice move, c5. You got to try to open up and get some counterplay. At least give your opponent something to think about. c4 threatens c3, so white says no thank you. Rook c5 goes for d5, but the problem is you're down a clear pawn, and that pawn happens to be Harry. Real wizard over there. Okay, but he gets the pawn back. And now what? Maybe Matiriasan got ahead of himself here. So the one knock on the youngster Hike, super talent from Armenia, sometimes he plays too fast. And now I think, he's given away his advantage. Looking at Eric's time, people forget Eric is used to this kind of time pressure. Hanson lives for these time pressure scrambles. So it's easy when you're up on the clock to kind of like lose your own edge, right? And I think that might be something that Matiriasan did there. Rook f5, a very nice move. Here comes Freddie. Going to push the f-pawn. Now wants to bring the king up. He's going to take and try to rush the king up the board. This should be a win for black. I mean... Okay, rook e4 allows rook d4. I'm not too thrilled about that move. Yeah, rook e4. He got worried. He got too worried about the pawns. He should have been rushing the king up the board while his rook still chapped the king out. Now we're likely going to see a draw. Maybe that's part of Eric's strategy. Maybe Eric thinks he's a better bullet player. I don't know. But only Matiriasan can win. By the way, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave has just knocked out Alexander Moskalenko. Hikaru Nakamura is in a crazy position against Vladislav Artemiev. Crazy stuff. We're going to stay right here on Mr. Chessbraw to see if he can hold and send this thing to a bullet tiebreaker. But he had his opportunities earlier in this game. There's no way he wasn't playing for a win in that rook ending. I think he just overthought it and tried to defend the queenside. Now you're hoping to get a draw. He's going to check everything, and if the king hides, he'll go after the d-pawn. 1 second. Move! 1 second, 2 seconds, king e6. Rook takes f4, but is it a win? The king gets cut off and the rook goes in front. Oh, no. Oh, wait. No. No, he can draw this. This is a theoretical draw. He's got the king close enough. The king is close enough. This should be heading to bullet. This should be heading to bullet. This is... No, I'm wrong. He had to play rook to b7. And he misses it. He had to go here. He had to go here. No, but then rook... no, he was going to lose the whole time. Okay, we're back to Hikaru. Hikaru. Oh, my God. The endgame gets away. And Artemiev sends Nakamura home. What happened here? We had a king and pawn ending that looked... No, actually, the endgame looked like black was applying pressure almost throughout. Despite the edge on the clock, if we look at it right here, Hikaru was up 21 seconds to 10 seconds. But ultimately falls because of the rook ending. King E3 might have actually been a blunder, walking into the king and pawn ending. An easy one to make, right? Hard to believe that black is already in a position to convert to the king and pawn ending here, right? Because it looks like white should be fine. But actually, king E3 was a horrible blunder, looks like, forcing and allowing the king and pawn ending, which looks like it was a win for black. Wow. Absolutely crazy stuff. Unbelievable. Well, there you have it. The results are in. Maxime Vachier-Lagrave beats Moskalenko on the bottom of your screen. Hikaru gets away with one and sends the chess bra home. Hikaru Nakamura falls to Vladislav Artemiev. That's why I said that was a first-round pairing in the knockout that neither one of those guys wanted. Hikaru Nakamura, the favorite, goes home, and Abdusattorov gets by Abdullah Gadambeli. So the man who won the main event continues to lead the way here. We're going to take a very quick break. When we return, the semifinals kick off. Both matches are going to be ones for the ages. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. And if you're just joining us, we have had quite the day here. Some of the biggest stars in the game going up against some of the maybe rising stars of the future. Abdusattorov continues to roll ahead after going 9 out of 10 in the main portion. The super talent now faces Vladislav Artemiev, who just sent Hikaru Nakamura home. Hikaru, of course, nothing to hang his head about, has basically won 3 events back-to-back. It looks like the extra-long commentary maybe caught up with him a little bit today. And then you've got Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, the Lyon Beast, the Beast of Lyon, taking on Hikaru. If we're picking big names at this point, you're kind of thinking MVL might be the favorite. But I wouldn't pick against Abdusattorov, who right now has the white pieces and has joined us on camera, taking on Big Vlad. Not Big Vlad. There's a lot of Big Vlads from Russia. Fedoseev, Kramnik, Artemiev. I mean, it's not my fault that I keep wanting to say that, especially because Vladislav Artemiev comes in at like 6'3" or something, okay? He's been called the Chuck Norris of Russian chess. That's not a joke, actually. It's literally his nickname. We've got about 11,000 of you with us. Don't go anywhere. We are probably about 20 minutes away from figuring out who's going to win the strongest running blitz event, the strongest weekly blitz event known to man every Tuesday here on Chess.com. So Artemiev playing kind of a flexible Sicilian. Notice he gave Abdusattorov a little bit of something to take pause about with a6. The reason is that if d4 is played early, black will take and then punch e5 right away, and there's nothing on b5, so black can be super aggressive with things like knight f6 and then bishop b4, and it's really hard to stop the move d5. So I'm backing up and showing this. I know the game's moving on. We've got the guys on camera, but this is kind of an instructive little takeaway for those who learning their Sicilians, understanding some of the potential central tricks. A6 is a tricky move order to try to get something like that. But Nordebek says, I don't want any of your open Sicilian after that shenanigans, and I'm just going to go for a King's Indian attack kind of structure, and then only later on go for the d4 transition. So this is a... okay, now it's just simplifying very quickly, and I have to like Nordebek again already. This is just an endgame that only white can win. Isolated d6 pawn, doubled f pawns, and white is very healthy here. What happened there with the knight coming to d5 that made Artemiev want to just castle instead of trade here? Instead of bishop takes d5. It's interesting. Okay. Well, Artemiev probably understands these structures a little better than me. Yeah, Captain Obvious. I think he does. Rook e6 is a move that defends both pawns, and I guess as we look at it, despite the optics of the position where black looks ugly with the d6 pawn, if that's the only weakness, you know, the computers say, well, if that's the only weakness, maybe white doesn't have enough, right? It's close to equal by my count if you're Stockfish. That's what that eval bar is telling us over there. I mean, from a practical point of view, you still got to prefer white a little bit, because the thing is, as the position transitions, it's almost impossible to imagine where white loses, right? Because this d6 pawn will fall in any kind of combination where the position opens up. And if you're white can play rook d2, double on the d file, kind of slow jam it, maybe b3, maybe b4, whatever I'm into. And what are you going to do? The rook comes to d8. You're never going to play d5, right? So, again, regardless of the eval giving us, you know, close to equal, there's no way a human grandmaster looks at this and doesn't say that, you know, white's objectively the one playing for two results. By the way, the rook comes to d1. The reason black played rook d8 is because if the rook comes to d1, look out for bishop h3. And watch out for this diagonal. That rook might run out of squares here real quick. Abdusattorov joining us from 1980s wallpaper right there. I've made the joke before, but it's too good not to say again, right? Pretty soon Winona Ryder's going to try to crawl through the wallpaper there. Shout out to the Gorgamon, by the way. Stranger Things Season 3. Not a sponsor of this show. b4 played. So the point is, white is in control, right? And that's what Abdusattorov's, that's the point. He can be patient, right? He can play on both sides of the board. And we see the youngster looking confident there. But Vladislav Artemiev has been here before. He's won more than one Speed Chess Grand Prix here on Tuesday. So don't pick against him. All right, the rook goes to e8. Again, Artemiev is kind of just trying to sit tight. d5! Oh, I think Abdusattorov missed that. Look at that. He shakes his head. He's like, uh-oh. Puts the hands up. That's position number 7, right? Focused position number 7. Usually not a good sign. h4 undefended the g3 pawn, and you don't have to ask Artemiev twice. He just punches d5 in and immediately rocks some counterplay. What's crazy is the computers still think that white's okay here because, you know, they just love themselves some passed pawns. But there's no way that either player thinks that that was good for white. We saw Abdusattorov's reaction there. I wonder if we'll see a game of tickle. If you're Artemiev, you can't be unhappy, right? It's a 2-game match. If you draw with black, now you get the first move the second game around. So I'd play queen g3 and take the draw. Yeah, you can't blame him, right? Artemiev says, you know what? I'll take white now. I'll take an opportunity with the first move. Abdusattorov sits back there. Wasn't too thrilled with the way that game went. h4 was definitely a good lesson in moving too fast. And apparently I'm following someone who just started a Bughouse match on Chess.com. You can play Bughouse on Chess.com anytime. Shout out to Raunik Sodwani. Look at that. He's got a pawn. He's got a knight. He can drop a knight over here. He's got 2 knights. Okay, we're done with Bughouse. Okay. All right, the next game between these two guys, still competing for first place here in the SCC Grand Prix, is going to begin. But that was pretty funny. One of the things that happens when the event is rolling is I'm following all these top players, and a lot of them, like Hikaru Nakamura, they don't stop when the tournament stops. Hikaru is currently playing Sam Sevion, and I'm sure a lot of you have been watching his stream. So thanks if you're one of the now more than 11,000 of us with you. 11,000 of us with you. 11,000 of us are with you. Thanks for being here. So, we've got the next set of games is underway here. A Trumpowski being employed. Vladislav Artemiev now with the white pieces against Nordabek Abdusaturov. The super talent has led the way all day, but I got a nervous feeling right now if I'm Abdusaturov. Artemiev right at home in a Tory structure here. Knight f3, bishop d3. These will be the moves. And he knows these positions very well. The one issue, or one of the reasons he played bishop b3 instead of moving the knight first, is he kept the stonewall structure as an option. Yeah, okay, he goes back, but it's a flexible move order that white chose to kind of keep that option alive, right? Where you go full grip on the center and try to pop a pony into e5 and go for the attack. Okay, he goes traditional, castle short, nothing wrong with that. He'll probably play queen e2 now. Also, a4 is a candidate move. Queen e2 is a very common sort of dual-purpose move in these structures. It threatens both the positional idea, sometimes of bishop a6, to get rid of this potentially good bishop on b7, but it also prepares things like e4. Okay, knight e5 is the very aggressive approach, where you're trying to get that stonewall structure and just own the dark squares. The problem is that because black hasn't castled, yeah, I think that Abdusaturov can play knight d7, and I'm not a huge fan of these knight e5 lines when black still has the flexibility of the king position. Like, because black could play f6 and try to undermine the pawns. All right, Abdusaturov says, I ain't scared. I ain't scared. It's probably exactly how he talks, too. Like, I ain't scared. He castles right into the face of danger and says, I ain't scared. Knight f3 threatens bishop takes h7 check and then knight g5. Never forget the Greek gift. But a simple rook move or a pawn move stops it. You could have also moved the rook because the knight would have f8, but h6 is the chosen move. I'm going to learn something here. So I'm going to be just with all of you, not even pretending that I know too much about this position. I've seen it a million times, but I'm always curious how white justifies the committal structure, the doubled e-pawns, when you really lack the firepower for the attack. So I want to see how Artemiev handles this. Does he just sort of slow play it? But at some point, look for black to play f6. The idea is one way to take advantage of double pawns is not by directly attacking them. f5 is, by the way, the same thing. Yeah, it basically forces f6. So f5 was the same move I was suggesting. And the reason is that when you get rid of the lead pawn, now you can punch a second move and e3 becomes exposed. So the lesson here positionally is when you look at this structure, if you can't actually get at the base pawn, right, then what you do is you clear the file. So one pawn at a time, and then when you open things up, eventually the e3 pawn gets exposed. Okay, wow. Heading to the endgame, where Artemiev, he just knew that white was going to be, wow. So even with the move, I've been biased toward Abdusaturov's position, I feel like, for the last 10 moves. Just, you could hear it in my voice. But this idea of queen d3, like legit forced the light squares, and he's forced into an endgame where black has just as many problems as white does. And it's just fascinating here. There's no way this is good for black. I mean, he can take twice, and Artemiev's just up a clean pawn. Like I said, I've been learning alongside the rest of you here. Really instructive right now from Artemiev if he goes on to win this game and bounce the tournament leader. Abdusaturov has been the man to beat all day, despite the fact that he can hardly be called a man. Has he hit puberty or not yet? Take a look at him. I don't know. Right? You tell me that kid's 12, I believe you. Right? Super talented grandmaster, and one that you should get familiar with. Wow. Rook to e1 here from Artemiev, though. despite the talking good about Abdusatturov and the fact that he has been a beast all day. Like I said, when you run up against the Chuck Norris of Russian chess, this is what happens. You're just going to double rooks on the e-file. Actually, here you could trade and play knight d6 as well, but I think doubling is just the patient approach, right? White is up a clean pawn already, and probably the only one who can take home more weaknesses. Artemyev's slowing down, though. He does that from time to time. Looks like he's sporting a new fresh hairdo. I see him on camera every Tuesday, so I can say that. Artemyev regularly qualifying himself into the knockout. Okay, knight e7 check. What's the idea? If king f7, bishop g6, and if the king moves anywhere else, I guess the point is you just got to grind here, right? The king moves to some random square, and the point is white is just sitting pretty, holding down the bind. Wow. What a nice move. If we're just talking technique here, right? Artemyev just showing why he's one of the few above 3,100 in Blitz on Chess.com. Because they play Blitz like most of us wish we could ever play like any form of long chess, right? Look at that, he threatens knight g6 mate! Oh my god, freaking nasty! No way Abdusatturov saw that. Look at the facial expression. Oh my gosh, that was a sick move. He's threatening knight g6 mate. It's over now. I mean, there's got to be a number of moves here to convert, right? Rook e6 looks nasty. What a sick move. Instant replay. Bishop b3. And how do you deal with knight g6 mate? You have to play g5, but there's got to be all kinds of problems. You could also take and then use the f-file. Yeah, okay, rook e6. That was my favorite too. And the mating net is real. Abdusatturov in huge trouble. Tries to run out. Has only 9 seconds left. Looks like there's a number of options here for Artemyev. Rook takes b6, knight f5 check, f takes g5, all decent candidate moves. Okay, the time is still of the essence for both players, so that's the one thing Abdusatturov has going for him, is that it's not so simple as long as time pressure is here. Knight e4 allows rook g6 and rook f7. The mating net is on. It's over. Artemyev is going to send the kid home. What a monster this guy is. He takes, knight g6 check, discover check, Bob's your uncle, and just like that, we have all kinds of problems. Rook e7 to play bishop takes. He's going to win the rook, and then he's going to win the bishop, and it's all over but the crying. Artemyev has sent the kid home, and that's why Artemyev is one of the few people that has won a Speed Chess Grand Prix this year. He sends home Hikaru Nakamura and shows it's his day, sends home Abdusatturov. An absolute monster is Vladislav Artemyev. Wow, I mean, can we just like, a golf clap doesn't cut it. That was freaking nasty. And again, it really all started, if I was doing a game of the day video, it starts here, right? With the recognition that he doesn't have to go to the endgame, right? I was just recommending rook e1. White's up a pawn, and rook e1's a good move because in a lot of positions, here comes rook e7, right? White is still in total control. But Artemyev has bigger goals in mind and shows us that with the potential mating net on the light squares, that white maybe has a little more to play for here. Plays knight e7 check, and after protecting the knight, here comes the move that Abdusatturov didn't see. Bishop to b3, threatening knight g6 checkmate. g5 is basically the only move, right? Unless you just want to start giving up pieces now. And the mating net continues. Rook e6, you open up the f-file, and everybody comes down for the finishing touches. I wonder if there was even a mate that Artemyev missed, by the way. Knight g6 and then rook e7. Okay, good enough. And you just end up going up the full exchange. Enough for the win. But amazing stuff there. You really gotta give a hats off and a tip of the hat and a wag of the finger, I guess. Huge day for Abdusatturov. And I'll just one time, because I don't do this, I like to ignore trolling chat, especially when they don't really know what they're talking about. I can tell you, Abdusatturov is a name you need to get to know, and I was here as first witness when everybody and their cousin was screaming that Firouzja was a cheater many years ago when he was a youngster up and coming, okay, including grandmasters who are now lower rated than him, okay? So I'll tell you that. I don't think you should be thinking Abdusatturov as anything but a super talent that you need to get to know. I'll just answer every comment that's been made with that right there. And we are working super hard. We have these guys being checked all the time. And clean, super talented play is not the same as cheating. And Abdusaturov, like a Fallujah before him, like many others like that, is a name that you need to get to know. There you go. Wow. But with that said, Artemiev sends him home. And that's it. Amazing stuff. Okay, Materiasan now has the challenge of taking on MVL. Not something we dream about. But speaking of young talents you need to get to know, Hike is on that list and often impressing people in blitz chess. Okay. E4, we take on C4, and here comes knight to B6 with bishop B3, but then we have a good old-fashioned non-good Russian pony on B6, so that's no good. Probably, yeah, we need to B5 first, and then even bishop B7. Right? One of the issues here for black is you're trying to untie the development along with catching up before white punches something like D5 through. So B5, I expected Hike to play bishop B3. I think that was the more natural retreat. Maybe he has devious... You know what he's got in mind? Is he going to go full alpha 0, right? Drive the H-pawn? Oh my god, he is. I was right. I don't know that it was the best approach objectively from Hike, but you got to give him credit that what he's trying to do is put the pressure in blitz, right, against his beast of an opponent, Leon Beast. He doesn't just want to sit on a positional game, right? He plays for the structure that's going to allow him to transition to a kingside attack. And what I mean by that is whenever you have the pawn on e5, by definition, no knight on f6, you've got this sort of, leapfrog, the leapfrog adventure to bring all your pieces to the kingside. So it's more of an aggressive approach here for white, and watch out for long-term attacking chances over here if this e5 pawn doesn't fall. At the same time, that's the risk, right? Maxime takes on d4 and says, yeah, we'll see about that e-pawn, right? If that e-pawn doesn't survive, then the whole idea is bogus. And that's what's funny. You look at the eval bar, you think, oh, white must be doing okay here. But I don't know. I mean, that's how the computer sees the position right now. Lack of space for black, I guess. But you got to give Stockfish some time. And here goes black, trying to target the e5 pawn. There you go. Queen to c7, a6. Yeah, now you can bring the knight around to d5. Okay. I mean, Hike is still in a better position, right? The knight on d6 is strong as long as there's no tactics on e5. But with an outpost square comes great responsibility. Thank you, Uncle... What was Spider-Man's uncle's name? Uncle Ben. Thank you, Uncle Ben, for reminding me that with great outposts come great responsibility. Meaning, you better have something to use it for. Otherwise, that knight might become a target, right? Because the moment e5 falls, everything does. h4, though, I mean, again, it's Alpha Zero chess. It's right up my alley. I love it. Me and Alpha Zero are really close, neck and neck in terms of chess abilities. Okay, fun stuff. Queen e4. Okay. He wants h5. This is a tough position for Maxime. Makes me wonder if he's considering an exchange stack on d6. Right? I mean, you get a pawn for it and you open up the bishop. It's certainly a possibility. Probably not a position that black would hope to win, though. The rooks are just too good in an endgame where there's already a couple of different open files. Bishop takes e5? Whoa. Right as I saw someone in chat recommend that, Maxime plays it. You were right. He laughs in the face of danger. Hike doesn't look like he saw that one coming. Sitting in Grandpa's chair. Like I said, as soon as the show's over, Grandpa starts getting, little ornery. Get out of the chair, right? Nightly news is coming on. Grandpa's chair looks comfy, but not when you blundered the e5 pawn. Now we're going to be in an endgame where probably a draw is most likely. Again, what did we see in the first matchup? You saw Artemiev get the peaceful result with the second move and then win when he was white. So that may be a strategy that Maxime tries to repeat here. Might be happy with a draw, and then he'll take his chances with the white pieces. It's going to come down to the wire, though. Time is a ticking. Both players about to be under a minute. Maxime under the gun. Plays rook a8. Oh, he's got an idea. If a3, he's going to play rook a4. I'm going to try to quickly swing the pieces up. I love that idea. Now he has b4, but he can also bring the rook over if he wants to just sit tight. The biggest issue is that this knight is supported by a pawn that you really can't get rid of, right? So that means everything on the d file is sort of staring at a wall as long as that's the case. Rook to b8. What did he miss? According to the computer, something was missed. White has an edge. Is the knight coming to c6 and then queen e5? That's the problem. Knight c6 and queen e5, I think. Okay, White doesn't go for it. I think he might have missed an opportunity, although this is a very natural transition. If I'm Hike, I'm very happy with where this has gone. I got off the D file where I was just staring at the rear of a pony, and now I'm looking right down the C file. Especially with a 20-second time advantage, this is looking tricky for Maxime. 15, nope, 18 seconds. Rook to c7's a move. Rook to c7, the knight is pinned. I saw it before you played it, Hike. Take that. And there's a rook f... Oh my god, is he just winning? Rook c7. The knight is pinned. Yeah, Maxime has to part ways with the lady. This is not good at all. Wow, Matyryasan's going to take the win and put Maxime Vachier-Lagrave in a must-win situation with the white pieces. Holy bejesus snaps. What a W. I'm going to show the combination one more time as they start the opening. Maxime didn't see it. The move was rook to... Oh, the game is being aborted? What is going on here? They're just rematching, but apparently the game is not ready yet. I don't know. I'm just going to show you that final combination while these guys figure out their life. Right? I can't figure out everyone's life. I got 4 kids of my own. In this position, the knight is pinned to the queen. Maxime misses the combination. Rook to c7 is game over, because if you don't sack, which is what Maxime did, rook takes f7 is next, and the black king gets mated. In 5 moves, if we believe our trusty engine friend. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that. That was the trick. Maxime Vachier-Lagrave now has to win as white, or he is sent home, and we have a final of Artemiev and Matyryasan. For the kids. 4 kids. Yeah, principal too. Yeah, 4 kids. It wasn't my fault. I shouldn't say anything else. Shouldn't say anything else about that. Hope everyone's having a good time. We've got more than 12,000 of you with us as this exciting Speed Chess Championship reaches its final moments. We've had the biggest names in the game and incredible upsets, rising stars of the future. This has been an awesome day. All right. Yeah, don't worry. My wife doesn't watch the show. All right. D4 is played. We've got kind of a reverse Grunfeld-looking structure here. Well, actually, it has nothing to do with the Grunfeld structure. What I meant was it's a center that could be undermined here with the pawns. If black takes and brings everybody into the center, especially with the bishop falling. I don't know. I'm kind of liking Hike's position again. Maxime looking uber focused there, as we know he always is, the Frenchman with 3 names. But he's got to get the W here. That forces your hand in a lot of ways, right? He has to go for certain types of positions, can't just simplify it and play for 2 results. The knight will fill the c4 square, and MVL has something to prove. I like black's position here. This is a position where if you could put the pawn on c5, the whole evaluation changes. But this pawn will never cross the c4 square, which means you'll always have this sort of fractured structure, right? Where this guy can't join his buddies. f5 is always a threat, because that means d5 is undefended, right? With the queen and the knight. Okay, c6 is another great move, because if the trade happens, we've fixed a c3 pawn as an isolated one. This is definitely a great position for black. Hike looking pretty relaxed, too. Shaking his head right there, though. Not happy at all. Oh, what happened? Actually, yeah. Suddenly, Maxime looks like he's made a comeback here. Did he blunder bishop takes b6? I guess that was the idea. The fact that he had to take back with the knight, I was proven a liar. The pawn does reach c4. Wow. I just wish you weren't a liar, Dan. You said my dry cleaning would be done by Thursday. First person who gets that reference gets a diamond membership. I'm watching chat. I'm watching chat. Anyway, yeah. Proven a liar right there. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. No, it's not. Yeah. No, you don't got it yet. Watching all chats, but there you go. No, not liar. Oh man, you guys are your pop culture game is going down. Going down. Okay. No one's gonna get it. Someone's gonna have to back up and check it out. No, now you guys are just guessing random stuff. Alright, I'm not paying attention anymore. Someone would have got it by now. I drive a Dodge Stratus. Okay. Knight to d3. He's gonna get the c file. Maxime has turned this around. Seriously. Completely turned it around. The idea that black was going to own the c4 square was real as long as he could keep the dynamic he had. But c6 was actually a bad move because it forced the retreat of the knight. And now Maxime was able to fix the structure. Since that moment, everything has turned around. And white has the edge here with the protected pass pawn on d5, owning the only open file. A position that only Maxime could win. Queen comes to c5. I love it. The knight is pinned. You can't take e4. He's going to try to bring the queen into... Whoa. Wait. Can you take on c8? No, don't do it. Yeah. Never. Don't ever go full Dan. Don't ever sack your queen unnecessarily. Just keep the bind. Now you can bring the knight back to d3. e5 is under fire. What's the threat, though? If knight d3, I think you have to watch out for queen c4, which would sacrifice the knight but win a bunch of stuff over here. So if knight d3, queen c4, trade, knight c5, b7's hanging, the knight comes back to d6 to guard b7. Only white can win that endgame, but Maxime may not have enough. We're going to find out, because I think we're going to get that exact line I just talked about. Knight d3 threatens e5. Again, if queen c4, trade, knight... Oh, he goes for this? What in the world? Shocker. Maxime calculates a little bit deeper than Hike Materiasan and goes for the queen ending. With the extra d-pawn, that might be enough. You know what Maxime does when he has to win? Ozbox said, Will Ferrell. That's right. You get a diamond membership. Send me a message on Twitter, but you got to name the skit too. b5. A desperate move. A desperate move by a desperate man. He has queen b1 check, so b7 doesn't work. That's his trick. Still has to be good for white, right? The danger, though, if you're Maxime, because you're literally in a winner-go-home right now, is that any perpetual check, right? You've got the queen ending, which is super dangerous. You make one blunder, and you have a draw. It'll just be a check, and draw. Maxime has to calculate. He goes queen a1. What does he do? Oh, queen takes d6, allows queen b1 check, and then b7. No, but then black gets queen b8. Oh, man. I think Maxime might have just blundered away the win. Oh, he leans back. No. He knows it too. Wait. That move maybe wasn't the best. That actually keeps the winning chances alive here. That keeps the winning chances alive somehow. But is it enough? I think queen e4 was actually better, because then a4, queen e7 would have both hit and guarded. Oh, but this works too, because if a2, you get the check and you take. Yeah, but he made a huge blunder there. There was no reason to give up the pawn there. I think he just missed queen b8 when he leaned back. Okay, but time pressure is real. Remember, Maxime has to win this game or he's going home. If he wins, we have a bullet tiebreaker. If he draws, Materiasan goes on to the final. Wait a second. No, there's no tickle. There's no version of tickle that reaches c8. That means we only have a draw. He has to go for this and then hope for some sort of swindle. What is the best way to get winning chances in an otherwise drawn queen and pawn ending? We're going to find out. Maxime, this should be a draw, but Maxime's going to do everything he can to win because it's win or go home. Okay, time pressure, anything could happen here. This should be a draw, though. There really aren't objectively enough winning chances in a position like this. But any king and pawn ending keeps winning chances alive. So Maxime is going to continue to try to offer a queen trade, see if he can trick his opponent. Okay, Queen comes over to e6, but again, at any moment, a perpetual check is just a draw. So Maxime's winning chances likely left him when he misplayed those 2 passed pawns. We'll back up before the final and see where the win was for MVL. So don't go anywhere. We're going to find out where the win was in that endgame, whether Maxime pulls it off or not, before the final kicks off. Yeah, there's just not enough of a problem, right? Black has no problems. No problem, man. Right? Okay, you have to go for g4. I was going to say, one of the ideas he was trying to go for, I thought, was that the queen pins the g6 pawn. So I thought there was some idea that you could eventually play for g4 and then like h5 with the pin. But nothing to it. And I will not be surprised if this thing just ends in a 3-fold repetition because they accidentally repeat the same position 3 times. There's no way to make progress here. And there we have it. But don't go anywhere. The final is ahead. It will be Vladislav Artemiev versus someone. We think Matiriasan because we don't think Maxime has enough to get a win here, which would force a bullet tiebreaker. Unfortunately for MVL, he missed his chances earlier in this endgame, and I don't think they're coming back. Okay, bringing the king up the board. This is nice. Remember, the idea, so there was a trick there. If queen f7, the move was queen e7. Oh, he misses king e7! Oh, he does it! Maxime tricks him! Oh, and Hike freaks out! Oh my god! Maxime tricked him! Holy crap! Oh my god. Here comes everyone yelling at Dan. Dan jinxed it. It's not my fault he blundered the queen ending. I'm just one man. Oh my friggin' god. That was hilarious and sad and heartbreaking. And it's a good lesson. This is how you win queen and pawn endings. You create what's called a cross check, meaning you can block a check with a check. It's a very common trick. Okay? Again, Hike can do a number of other moves here, and it's still a draw. You can even just keep the queen on the diagonal. Like, let the king get closer. But shout out to Maxime, who worked it with no diggity all the way up the board and creates a trick. As soon as you have a cross-checking square, again, a cross-check square is where you can meet a check with a check. The eval bar goes wild. That's the kind of thing they make pills for, and the results are in, right? Maxime is satisfied. He gets himself a bullet tiebreaker, everybody. And we have more action between MVL and Matiriasan here. Wow, what a crazy game. They barely avoided 3-fold repetition. I see the chat saying, yeah, damn, exactly. Exactly. Exactly, Jen. Hey, Yaz. You got a story? Exactly, Jen. Exactly. Exactly, yeah, yeah. Thanks, Yasser. Thanks, Yaz, for showing up today. Yeah. Oh, my God. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Oh, my gosh. Seriously. Okay, well, Hike, okay, it's not over for him yet. He's still in a great spot. It's bullet. It's 1-0. He's very good at bullet. Look at the 3,000 rating. He's the favorite in the bullet, so don't get too excited if you're an MVL fan. But, oh, my God, what a finish that was. All right, here we go. We've got an isolated queen pawn. Maxime is definitely on the worst side of what's about to come. He's down a pawn and down on the clock, but he's trying to speed up, doing everything he can to not let himself be flagged. This is going to be a crazy finish where neither side really deserves to go home, but it's going to happen. Something's going to get dirty flagged here, and I don't even know who it's going to be. Matiriasan is in a weird spot because now it's an endgame you want to play good moves in, right? But if you play good moves, you start to get lower on time. Watch the clock. Watch the clock. Here comes Rook C3. A3's hanging. A3's hanging. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay, Matiriasan has some oh, no, it's not a blunder. Queen C3. I thought he blundered the piece. Rook D3 still. Queen A1 check, and he's okay. Somehow, some way. Oh, wait, are we going to get another draw? Maybe. No, MVL wants more. He wants mate. He wants mate on the first rank. But he doesn't get it. Instead, we get a transition with only 17 seconds for either player. Rook E5. Okay, Rook E5 may have been the best. Instead, we're going to get a rook ending. No idea who's better here. Oh, Queen f6 check. If Trady would have won the rook, what a sick move. King h7, and he's got nothing. Oh, queen f3, his queen's hanging! Oh my god, his queen was hanging. They pre-moved. Oh my god, he pre-moved. His queen was hanging. But Materiasan only has 6 seconds. The rook end. Wait, who's winning in the endgame? It's got to be white. And now he can pre-move it out. He can pre-move it out. Materiasan's going to move on. Materiasan's going to move on. He would have to flag with only 3 seconds. He's got plenty of time to pre-move this one to victory. Materiasan is going to hold on despite the crazy pre-move blunder. No, he's not winning. What is he doing? He's got 2 seconds. There's no way he loses this. 2 seconds is too much. It's mate. Oh my gosh, what a finish. Oh my gosh. I need a walk after that one. Holy crapoly. Just so you know, my freak out that happened, in case you're wondering why, was back here. He played queen f3. He played queen f3, but MVL had pre-moved rook e8, and white didn't take the queen. Hilarious. MVL had he was expecting king h2, so he pre-moved rook e8, and he could have lost the queen. That's why I freaked out. Anyway, Materiasan goes on to win regardless. What a game, what a finish. After forcing a bullet tiebreaker, Maxime goes home. We have our final set. It's Vladislav Artemiev versus Hike Materiasan. That gets underway right after our break. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. And we are back getting set for our final here, July 21st, the Speed Chess Championship Grand Prix, reaching its thrilling conclusion. But before it does, make sure you consider checking out our official sponsors app. It's your friendly personal chess coach, your neighborhood Spider-Man, your neighborhood Dr. Wolf, giving you advice. Download on iOS or Android. I bet you'll be pleasantly surprised with how insightful and crazy personal the the algorithm, maybe he is a real person. Maybe there's just a guy there who looks just like that giving advice, because it seems that way at times. The human advice is that good in terms of coaching and helping you develop pattern recognition in your game. So, all right, there we go. Hike Materiasan sends Maxime Vachier-Lagrave packing. I guess it's fitting, given that the guy who sent Hikaru Nakamura packing is waiting for him in the finals, right? So probably the two biggest names in the event, right, as far as those who made the knockout, Hikaru Nakamura and MVL, were both outed by these two guys who are about to throw down. Vladislav Artemiev and Hike Materiasan, Sib Elephant, and Mkhitaryan, as they are known on Chess.com, will duke it out here for $1,000 in these final couple Blitz games. You come this far, you might as well win the whole thing, right? $1,000 cash, along with the Grand Prix points, is what's at stake. Oh man, shout out to everybody with us. We still have more than 12,000 of you across multiple platforms, 11,000 on Twitch. We appreciate it. Can't wait to see which of these guys gets the better of it. I wouldn't pick either one at this point, meaning I have no idea who's going to win. I know it doesn't make sense. You have to pick. I don't have to pick. You can't tell me what you can't tell me what I have to do. All right. We're going to get the games going here. Again, Materiasan, that was crazy. By the way, I mean, he finds a way to get it done. It gets in a position that he can pre-move it out, which is really the biggest problem if you're MVL, right? Because you were up on the clock, if you back up a few moves ago, 7 to 4 seconds. But suddenly you're in a position where almost every move from here on out was just pre-moved, right? And that's a problem. So as soon as that was the case, there was really nothing left to it. And despite the less than stellar technique of the king and queen checkmate versus king, Materiasan gets it done. All right, we have the games are about to begin here for our final. We have our two players. Hike is sitting in Grandpa's chair. Probably got a booster seat below him too, because you know Grandpa's chair can get pretty deep. He's had it for like 50 years, right? At this point, I mean, he's basically got a mold of his butt in the couch. I mean, that's how old that's how comfy Grandpa's chair is, right? So you got to get like that phone book, or like you grab that pillow, because it's it's really awkward. So we got Hike in the big chair. We got Vladislav Artemiev looking as he normally does, which is that he's about, 1 second away from sleep. He's like the kid from the Turkey movie. He's like, I'm tired now, right? Vladislav Artemiev wins chess tournaments and then goes, I'm tired now, and just conks out. Coming to us live, 2 a.m. from Russia. All right, we've got a Slav, a big Slav. Captures on c4, which means we're going to get the fun variations where white has the center and black has the pawn. This is going to be a dynamic one for sure. We'll see what kind of theory they want to bring. An awkward move order, because often in these lines, white actually goes for the knight e5 maneuver before e4. One of the moves here for white is this move, knight e5. I think this is like the main line. So instead, Hike plays e4, which is a different approach, because you're not ever really going to go aggressively to win that pawn back anymore, especially after the move e5, right? Creating a transition that gets really tricky. Okay, you could also have traded queens and done it, but the point is the e5 pawn is won back. Black's idea is he's now created this 4-on-2 advantage with this e5 strike, which is common against the big center in the queen's gambit. Okay, but white has the bishop pair as compensation. Right, likely going to get the d file. So again, this is just still very, very equal. Lots of crazy chess ahead. A small time advantage for Materiasan. Of the two players, I would say that Hike is probably the faster player, right? So if this comes down to crazy time scramble stuff, I would probably put my money on Hike, but we'll see. All right, transition, equality. You've got the 4-on-3 versus the 3-on-2. Black will get some positional access here and try to challenge the d file. You have to watch out though, because if you go to the endgame, a5 is really weak. So instead, f6. This is good, right? You're trying to open up the king, punish Materiasan for these f4 and e5 expansion. Open it up. Queen c4 check is a weird move. Because now your bishop on e3 was undefended, so you kind of have to go for e6. But wow, he's got the rook coming to d7. That's too complicated for me to understand. The words of Colonel Sanders. I'm too drunk to chase this chicken. Okay? That's a little bit too tricky for my blood. Rook to e8. He's going to trade on e6. Bishop b6. We're transitioning, right? If queen e6, everyone's traded. White wins a5. But who's better in the endgame? Probably black. You have f5 coming. Get the bishop out. You could also play knight b4 here, right? And if you want to defend a5. Because the e6 pawn isn't going anywhere. Wow, f5. He's going to allow the a5 pawn to be captured for... What's his idea? Well, I guess e6 is going to fall no matter what, so he just didn't want to waste any more time before activating the bishop on g7. Queen to c5 check. The trade goes to an endgame where e6 falls, as does the light squares. So I think, okay, I think he's going to have to settle and just capture here. The risk of knight b3 is rook a3, and I think that knight is running out of squares. Yeah, so he just has to capture, and the whole idea seemed to kind of backfire. It felt a little suspicious, right? It's blitz commentary, right? And as the great Nesmedinov once said, he who analyzes blitz is a fool. You're looking at the poster child for fools, okay? So we do our best here to keep up with super grandmasters in blitz chess and predict and analyze. At least we can learn from some of the ideas. But I don't think f5 was the best move for Artemiev if I'm just giving my intuitive evaluation of where he misplayed that. All right, g5, solid, right? Again, you're trying to create counterplay for the pieces to work against the king. But overall, you're in a race now because probably b7 is going to fall at some point, and white's better in the endgame, so you're hoping for counterplay against the king. Fun trick, you could play rook a6 here, and if rook takes b7, you have rook takes b6, and then bishop d4 check. Kikiu! Bow, bow, bow! Pew, pew, pew! Always wanted to do that, lasers. Pew, pew, pew! Watch out, lasers, that king is open. Knight e4. Very interesting. Oh, hello, it is I, your old Uncle Sasha. Okay, now we get a trade. Bishop takes c3, we're going to get an endgame. Rook takes f5, defends a5. White's still better and threatening rook f7. 15 seconds for Artemiev. This has been quite the game from Hike, by the way. He's just so relaxed in Grandpa's chair. Seriously, right? Yeah, I mean, like I said, Hike is the faster of the players. Whoa, that's going to allow... I thought you had to play rook h5 for sure. The king just moves, and now how do you guard h7? Apparently you don't guard h7. Artemiev trying to swindle some sort of draw here, but not looking good, especially with only a few seconds on the clock. And I think Chuck Norris of Russian chess, Vladislav Artemiev, is going to have to pull a roundhouse kick to the face, like the Chuck Norris, to come back in this one. What I mean by that is a win with white. He's got to try to get a dub the next game. Okay, I mean, he's holding on with 2 seconds, right? But, I mean, at this point, Hike could play any move that shocks Artemiev, and he's going to lose on time. Yeah, there you go. Play a little tickle. A little bit of tickle. Win the pawn. Artemiev is running out of time. Now just keep the bishop on the board so that the mating net can be real. Something like bishop d4 should be enough. Okay, this move also threatens mate. And we have liftoff. The eagle has landed. Black runs out of time. Okay, that was tough, right? And again, the writing was on the wall much earlier in this game just because Hike was up at one point more than a minute and a half on the clock. That's not something you can really do in a blitz game like this. So, but Artemiev now with white, right? We saw him get a victory in this exact opening to send himself to the final earlier today. We'll see if the Tory / Trumpowski kind of attack thing he's got going here ends up redeeming him yet again. He played this exact same line earlier today. and he was successful with it, right? Right after I was critical of the approach of white in the middle game, but then he defeated Nordebek Abdusaturov to get in the final. Again, by the way, he pauses here. Okay, he's done it every time. He pauses, and it makes me think he wants to go for some f4 line, and then he goes knight f3 every time. He did it in the other game too. Now queen to b1, rather than the traditional kind of queen e2 placement. Interesting. Trying to take a different approach here. A little more of a full board one. Preparing this queenside pawn advance, but still keeping eyes open for the typical kind of knight e5 idea. Okay, this is an interesting one because we've seen these lines before. I think I saw Amon Hamilton get a nice win in a game like this once. A Tory slash kind of Kali London system specialist himself, Amon Hamilton. Like, the point is, if you somehow get your cake and eat it too, if you get the bishop to this diagonal and you can get the c-file, it's very tricky for black because the bishop on g3 stops things like bishop d6, right? Okay, that's exactly why black doesn't want to allow it. But if you give white just a few more moves and white gets to relocate the pieces, the queen side comes under like a serious bind. So he doesn't allow that, instead simplifies and puts the knight on e4. And I think we're going to be looking at a Hike Materiason SCC Grand Prix victory today. I don't know. Just something about it. The feeling. The chair. I don't know. We'll see. Artemiev has got to come up with a victory here. Remember, he's down 1-0. It's win or go home. Take on d2. What's the positional plan? Can you go for a5 and try to use a c5 square? But if you do that, b4 is weak. I mean, you can... Okay, you free the back rank here so that maybe you can try to get going on the c-file here, right? But Hike just simply offers trades. And remember, the draw is a match victory for Hike Materiason. So, symmetrical structure, the only advantage Artemiev really has is the c-file. He's got to find a way to squeeze water out of the stone here if he's going to send this thing to a bullet tiebreaker. Okay, this is the plan I talked about. You go for a5 and eventually try to put the knight on c5. So you have winning chances. Now I would be patient. Maybe not play it right away. Can you move the bishop and try to spy something like h7 with the queen? Okay, this is also good. The point is, now you're in control, right? You will put the knight on c5 when you darn well please, if you're Artemiev. So take your time, right? Exactly. f4, king f2, g3 even. Like, just sit on this position a little bit. Because at some point, you're going to put the knight on c5. Probably black plays bishop c8, doesn't want to trade and give the passed c-pawn and open the queen. And then you have to figure out if there's a way to press further. The biggest issue, again, let's look at Hike. He may look relaxed in the chair, but look at his advantage on the clock. This is why he's so good. And he consistently gets, I've said this before, I feel like a broken record over the last few weeks covering the Grand Prix. He just gets simple positions, ones that are technical, ones that he can play quickly. And it's one of the things that makes him super hard to beat because he's consistently up on the clock. Just making simple moves here. Bishop e2. So again, Artemiev's idea here, I think, is to try to pry at the light squares, right? He's got to poke at both sides of the board if he has a chance. Now you play knight c5. You don't offer the queen trade. Unless there's a trick. Wait. Was there a trick of takes, and then d4 or something? I wonder. Okay, well, either way, Artemiev is in no rush. So he keeps the... But again, this is the right idea I was saying. You play on this side of the board with some threats. You play on knight c5. And it's a practical approach. You're kind of hoping for an opportunity that your opponent gives you. Put it this way, if the clock rolls were reversed here, I would think Artemiev is going to win this game. Right? If you have double time as white when you get to poke at both sides of the board, right? Double threats, threatening the c-file. Now you've induced f5, which kind of helps, right? Now you've got more pawns on the light squares for your bishop to eventually attack. This is how you work it. Right? Now that you've made the trade, you've also opened up this path, which is eventually a good one for the king. So I like Artemiev's position, and so do the computers, as you can see. Almost +2. But again, it's the clock. If you give white more time here, I really think Artemiev goes on to win this game. I don't really have a skincare routine. Besides, I don't over soap, because then it makes your skin dry. Okay? There you go. You're welcome. Bishop to f3. Yeah, queen h4 check is nothing. Biggest issue is the clock. Remember, look at the scoreboard. It's above us right there. Artemiev must win or he goes home. If he wins, we have the most exciting event in the world outside of sudden death dodgeball. Sudden death bullet. Knight to c5. Hits the bishop. Ooh. Now you have good knight versus bad bishop, and he gets d5. Artemiev. He's opening up the board. He's going to get winning chances with only... Okay, he's got 15 seconds, but this is what you were looking to do. There's no way this was good for white. I mean, sorry, good for black to allow. And I know objectively it says that black is still maybe going to be able to hold this, but this is exactly what you were hoping for. Some sort of chances with the queen and white, queen and knight to do work. But all Materiasan needs is a draw. Artemiev, 2 seconds. 1 second. Queen f6 check. Oh, I don't know that he has anything. He's going to play tickle, but then what? Playing tickle, but then what? Oh my god, he loses on time. Artemiev's connection must not have been good today. No, I think he just lost track. Wow. Well, that feels a little like kissing your sister. I got robbed right there. That was not the ending I was hoping for. Am I allowed to say that? Is that like Alabama humor that's no longer appropriate? Okay. Never mind. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we will recap what was this accidentally incestual reference of a Speed Chess Championship Grand Prix. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. and we are now joined by the winner of today's Speed Chess Championship Grand Prix, Hike Materiasan, who moves into 4th place overall in the season leaderboard, which is amazing by itself. Also, you won $1,000. But Hike, as you were just telling me off camera, take us through how nervous you were when you blundered the Queen E7 check against Maxime, and you went to bullet. How was that?
Yeah, I didn't see where is king, and when I play Queen E4 check, it's Queen E7, and I see him losing.
But then you recovered. You were just telling me how scary it was. Then you won this bullet game against Maxime that ended in checkmate. But what was the critical moment for you in that game with Maxime? I'll back up to the Queen and Rook ending. Was there a critical moment for you where you felt like you were going to win?
In this position, I think I'm winning.
Yeah.
Because.
Well, did you see Maxime's pre-move with Rook E8?
Yes.
Hilarious. All right.
Now, 9 seconds, here. 9 seconds.
Yeah, you had 9 seconds.
And I played many pre-moves, Rook B6 and Rook B7.
So how important is it? I was commentating. I was commentating on the fact that the reason you were able to win this game is because when you went to the king and pawn ending, you were basically able to just pre-move the rest of the way almost, right? And that really helped. How important is it to get a position where you can pre-move there in that time scramble?
Yeah, king, but I'm very dangerous for you. Can play h4, and I can lose the game.
Right. So you weren't able to pre-move yet. When were you able to start pre-moving? I guess right here.
In this position, B7, B8. In this position, I made 5 pre-moves in a row. Queen F7, Queen F5, Queen H3, and it was this winning easily.
Okay. It's funny things we talk about these days, right? We talk about things like pre-moving for a win because it's online chess. But Hike, want to let the fans get to know you a little bit. You're one of the most talented young chess players on the planet, and I got a lot of flack from my staff when I didn't invite you to last year's Junior Speed Chess Championship. They were really mad at me that I didn't invite you. Were you also mad at me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. I feel so much better. We've cleared the air. I'm sorry. I should have invited you. You're right. I don't know what else to say. Anyway, but guess what? You're here now. You just won the SCC Grand Prix. And so how big is it for you? I mean, you're one of these guys who, right, you're still up and coming. You're not one of the big names in the chess world yet, right? So for you, winning the Grand Prix every week is super important because that might qualify you into the Speed Chess Championship, right? This is a big event for you every week.
Yes, it's a very big event, and you're playing very strong players. And I'm first time playing with Maxime. It's very difficult for me with him because he is also very good blitz and rapid player, also classical, but rapid and blitz also very good. And now I'm happy because this is very good results for me.
Well, you deserve it, man. And as I told the fans watching, you will be a household name soon. They need to get to know you because I expect you to be winning a lot of these events in the future. You're great to watch. Last question before I let you go: is that Grandpa's chair that you're sitting in, or your chair?
This is Grandpa's chair.
But it's Grandpa's chair. Wait, is that your chair that you're sitting in, or is that like your dad's chair?
No, I'm playing in chess in this chair.
Is it your good luck chair?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I thought so. Anyway, Hike, thanks for staying up with us. I know it's late where you are. Again, congratulations on the victory, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Thank you. See you.
See you, buddy. All right, and that was Hike Materiasan, our winner, who takes it 2-0. And that final match was a lot closer than the final score. I mean, the first game could have gone either way, but Hike takes it. And then that second game, right as I was thinking Vladislav had finally created an opportunity for a win, he loses on time. But that is what I said, right? Early in that matchup, for those of you that have been with us the whole time, I was commentating on the fact that if you flip the roles of the clock, I really think Artemiev wins that game and we have a bullet tiebreaker. But the fact that Hike gets up on time and really uses the clock as a weapon is a big reason why he's so hard to beat. As you watch these guys, it's like the position can go either way, but one player's up a minute on the clock reminds you of guys like Hikaru Nakamura, like Alireza Firouzja, and the other best blitz and bullet players on the planet. Speaking of which, we do this every week. That's exactly what the Speed Chess Grand Prix is. It brings together the best blitz players on the planet, the best chess players on the planet, really. Those are just a few of the faces that you should get to know and love. Join us next week again at 10 a.m. because it happens every Tuesday. And today was a crazy day. Today was super exciting. I had a blast. We still have more than 6,000 of you with us across different platforms who stuck around for that interview. It was a great day. It was a funny one, right? We had big names, right? But we had the youngsters, maybe the up-and-coming names, kind of get the better of this one. And that's what makes every Tuesday exciting, is you really never do know who's going to win. So for the team here, working hard at Chess.com, the staff behind the scenes, the Fair Play crew, my producer, Mr. R in Hawaii, the moderators who help keep chat happy and focused, we appreciate it. For everybody at Chess.com, this has been the Speed Chess Grand Prix. I'd like to pretend there was something in here, but I finished my tea a long time ago. And on behalf of the crew, thanks for being here, and we will see you next week on Chess TV.